improve to 6-2 and really take a stranglehold in the AFC South. There's a whole lot to get to with this game, and we're going to get to it all show long here today. Taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. But Joe Rexrode, you were there. What a game that was for the Tennessee Titans. What a game that was in the NFL yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, they can be wild, but I don't know if they can get a whole lot wilder than this one. Excuse me. And like you said, you kind of thought, okay, well, there's the game-winning / game-losing play by Wentz, which, you know, like you don't want to take a safety there, right? Because if you do, not only are they ahead of you, but you have to kick to them. So you know, actually letting them have a touchdown, which of course I don't think was the intent, but them getting a touchdown gave the Colts a chance to do what they did. But the thing is, even if Elijah Molden doesn't catch that pass, it's going to be a safety because it's going to be grounding in the end zone. You know, so I mean, really, it kind of worked out lucky for the Colts that Molden gets the touchdown. And I mean, I think both fan bases felt victimized by the officials yesterday, and there were wacky plays all over the field. But ultimately, I mean, I think I have to steal the analysis of friend of the show and my athletic coworker, Stephen Holder. He's like, we were talking for the game. He's like, who do you trust more? Like, I trust the Titans. You know, they're not perfect and they've got injuries, and that keeps being a thing and maybe more of a thing. But like they're actually trustworthy in the AFC relative to the rest of it, which I hadn't thought of it in those terms. And I think that's an interesting thing to say for a team, again, that lost to the Jets, like the Bengals have now done, by the way. But the Titans have a certain, less confidence, I think, in these close games. A certain, they've been through a lot of these. This core group of players has been through a lot of these situations, and they just are really able to keep going. They're not going to win them all because, again, the Jets was an overtime game. I mean, 3 of their 4 road games this year have been in overtime. But more times than not, seems like they're probably going to make the play or two to win a game.
Well, and, you know, it's a credit to them because, you know, they've gotten to the point, at least in my mind. I mean, they go down 14-0 really before you can blink yesterday, and Indianapolis looked like they might come out there and just jump all over the Titans. And even then, at that point, you know, like, I looked at my wife and I said, you just watch. They're going to come back in this game. Like, they're not just going to go away. They'll come back in the game. It'll be a game. And, you know, before halftime, it's a game. So, you know, the 4th and 3 at essentially midfield that Frank Reich decides to go for, I get it. You're trying to be aggressive there. But in retrospect, you've got all the momentum in the game, and you're trying to hit another 4th down there, and you don't get it. And that lets the Titans back in the game. They come down and respond. That was a big decision. Probably one that's not going to get talked about a whole lot today based on everything that happened in the game. But that early decision to go for it on 4th down came back to bite the Colts.
No, I thought so at the time. Like, you know what? This is one of those times where you're doing great. Punt and make them earn their way down the field rather than give them a freebie. Not a freebie, but they got a short field. Boom. You know, that's the tight end drive for the Titans, where all of a sudden it's like, let's just throw the tight ends on this drive and then never again, you know.
Yes.
But I mean, honestly, that was another, I think that's a key moment early in this game that the Titans got that stop. And really that was as simple as Carson Wentz missing a throw too, because Pittman was there. He had space on the sideline. He just overthrew him. So I agree. That was a big moment. Lot of people around here not happy with Frank Reich. And I think there's another fair criticism on Jonathan Taylor. I mean, the guy was really good and I thought, especially late in the game, when you want a big, powerful running back on your side, like the Titans certainly know how that feels. He didn't really get the ball.
That's 2 games for the Colts against the Titans where I really can't believe the way they handled Jonathan Taylor. Like, you know, the first game we talked about it was different. Carson Wentz was a statue in that game, and I thought Jonathan Taylor would be a big part of the game plan. He really wasn't. And then yesterday, I know he got 2 big runs called back because of penalties. But even with those 2 runs called back, 16 carries, 70 yards, a touchdown, he's averaging 4.4 a carry. You give him the ball 16 times, and Carson Wentz threw it 51 times yesterday, Rexrode. Look, Carson Wentz has been a good story so far, and I think he's been, for the most part, pretty good for the Colts. I can tell you this, the formula to winning for the Colts is probably never Carson Wentz throwing the ball 51 times.
Exactly. No, and it's just, I mean, I feel like there were some moments, some situations was like, here you go. See if this defense, this Titans defense, which is, you've had success against them, they've been on the field, see if they can, handle them. I mean, again, I think there were some plays where they tried and the Titans did a pretty good job and bottled them up. But I'd want to see more of that if I were the Colts. But it turns out to be like that was the entire spectrum of Wentz, I mean, some terrific plays. The PI and everything never happens if he doesn't get that 3rd and 16 in to Pittman in the middle of the field with like the entire Titans defense around him. I mean, he did some good things, but then obviously, boy, when he makes a mistake, does he make a mistake?
Yes, he does. Let's go to our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Got a texture that says, NWI got his TD, and so far my prediction holds true that the Titans won't lose another game. It was a beautiful moment when friend of the show, Nick Westbrook-Akina, waltzed into the end zone yesterday, Rexrode.
Right. I mean, boy, it's guaranteed to be a Twitter festival when that happens. But yeah, I mean, he was, he essentially took Julio Jones' spot.
Yep.
Gosh, how many times really, so was that his? No, he got targeted 3 times. So 2 for 16 and touchdown. Marcus Johnson gets targeted 5 times. One of those was the pick. A guy here, a guy there. McNichols with a nice little play in there. Michael, like I said, the tight ends. I mean, but essentially now they have gotten back to playing a whole game and dominating a game. A.J. Brown. I mean, 18 catches for 288 and 2 in the last 2 games. And really in all 3 of these games, this incredible stretch, Bills, Chiefs, Colts wins to really change the outlook of this season. He's been great in all 3.
He has been great in all 3, and he was great again yesterday. 10 catches, 155 yards, 1 touchdown. Even try to pass. If that was blocked up a little better, I think A.J. Brown may have thrown a touchdown pass yesterday. Made a great decision to throw it out of bounds, though.
Yeah, that one was one of those, like, the defender is right in your face immediately when you get the ball. So actually it was a good job of Carson Wentz can learn a little bit from what A.J. Brown did there. You know what? Just get the ball out of bounds, live to see another play.
That's right. We're off and running today on Robby and Rexrode, talking the Titans win against the Colts 34-31 yesterday in Indianapolis, and welcoming your thoughts on the text line all show long, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation and break down a little bit more of what we saw in the final minutes of regulation and into overtime as well. All that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025, The Game.
Staples is evolving to Staples Connect, a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore what's new at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
Gary Ashton here. Most people in Nashville know me as the don't sell without the intel and the guaranteed offer guy. But despite my accent, I'm also 100% guaranteed Nashville. I'm a guaranteed musician, a guaranteed dog lover, and you're also guaranteed to see me at every Titans and Preds game. Guaranteed offer means the Gary Ashton team with RE/MAX Advantage will sell your house for top dollar with no cleaning, staging, showings, or open houses, and give you up to 90 days to close. So there's plenty of time to find your next home. Guaranteed Nashville means my team lives here and loves it here. We've served Nashville for over 20 years, and we're passionate about helping the people we call neighbors and friends, which is why we've had a long-standing tradition of donating to the Vanderbilt Children's Hospital. If you're thinking about a guaranteed offer, get the only one that's guaranteed Nashville. Request a no-obligation offer by calling 615-301-1650 or go to GaryAshton.com today. Remember, Gary Ashton, guaranteed Nashville.
Genesis Diamond's biggest and final sale of the year is here this weekend. It's an incredible event with savings of 20, 25, even up to 35% store-wide. Rings, earrings, pendants, bands, bracelets, nothing's held back for this once-a-year 3-day extravaganza. Acclaimed designers are here with expanded collections and extraordinary pricing. Plus, get 0% interest financing. The final store-wide sale of the year with discounts up to 35% this Friday, Saturday, and yes, open Sunday for this great event. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. See store for details.
When Genesis Diamonds has a sale, you know it's the real deal, and it's happening this weekend. Our final store-wide sale of the year with deep discounts up to 35% off. This is the big one. The one where the staff knows they can break all the rules. Plus, the selection is nearly doubled with designers here from LA and New York with their entire collections, all of it on sale. This is the last and best jewelry buying opportunity of the year. Save up to 35%, zero interest financing. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. See store for details.
Bank of England Mortgage has been helping Americans live the dream of home ownership for over 100 years. Since their humble beginnings in England, Arkansas, they've gone from a community bank to a nationwide mortgage lender. BOE delivers innovative mortgage products with superior customer service and the most knowledgeable loan officers in Nashville. Find your nearest location in Middle Tennessee at BOE1214.com or call 615-823-1215. Bank of England Mortgage is a division of Bank of England Mortgage. Equal housing lender, member FDIC, NMLS 418-481.
Bill Burr, Slight Return.
If I've learned anything in 5 years of being married is we're always working on me.
From his Netflix specials and F is for Family, Bill Burr, Slight Return. Friday, April 22nd, Bridgestone Arena.
Evidently, my wife is this completed work under museum glass that is to be admired and studied. And I'm like one of these guys, you know those buildings that just has scaffolding around it for like 6 straight years?
Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Bill Burr, live.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Robby and Rexrode on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
We crossed the 6-minute mark in overtime. Wentz faking, delivering it. It is picked. Intercepted by Byard. And how about this Tennessee defense?
What a play yesterday from Kevin Byard. What a day yesterday from Kevin Byard. It was kind of a range of emotions, Joe Rexrode, for Kevin Byard of, taking the penalty. And, he talked about, kind of standing on the sideline, thinking about what his post-game speech would be like after they lost the game. And then Kevin Byard makes a big play in overtime, intercepts the football. And the man, my favorite Titan of all time, Randy Bullock, knocks one through to give the Titans a 34-31 win against the Colts. What a wild sequence it was at the end of regulation into overtime between the Titans and the Colts. And let's set the scene a little bit. The Colts have this drive of apparently every time on third down there's penalties against the Titans, some of which were valid, some of which really upset me. We'll get to that a little bit more later this hour. The Titans come down. They're not able to capitalize on the ensuing drive, and the Colts get the ball deep in their own territory. Saw some Colts friends of mine on Twitter saying this is the moment. This is where you're going to find out whether or not Carson Wentz can be a franchise quarterback. And Carson Wentz drops back. Bud Dupree creates some pressure up the middle. They try a screen pass, and Danico Autry has that blocked off. That lane's blocked off. So Wentz rolls back around, and Bud Dupree gets up from the ground, and all of a sudden Carson Wentz is in trouble. He tries to shift the ball to his left hand to throw it to get away and avoid the safety. And Elijah Molden is waiting there. It's a touchdown, Titans. And, Joe, at the time, I thought that was going to be how the Titans won the game. The interception by Elijah Molden. What a play that was by him to be there. Obviously, Bud Dupree, Danico Autry deserve a lot of credit on that play as well. And I thought at that point that was going to be the play that won the game. Now, obviously, we know what happened. Colts drive down the field. They tie it up. But you wanted to see Bud Dupree make some impact plays. And, he wasn't necessarily – all over Carson Wentz yesterday, but that was a pretty big play and a big moment for the Titans by Bud Dupree.
Yeah, no doubt. Bud Dupree, I would say that entire pass rush crew was not as impactful against a better offensive line. The healthiest the Colts have been up front. And you saw that's, first of all, you see the difference, right, between the Chiefs O-line and how they played in Nashville last week and the Colts yesterday. I mean, the Colts, very good up front when they've got everybody together, but still the Titans were able to get some pressure going, and that was just a huge play by Bud Dupree. to be there and to have him wrapped up. So, he had a couple hits. I guess the Titans only had the one sack. Yeah, Landry on the little twist, putting him, by the way, at 8.5, which means that at this point in the season, 8 games in, no one in franchise history has been on a better pace than Harold Landry is now. So he's beating Javon Curse's pace from 01 and Ray Childress going way back with the Oilers in the 90s. He's on as well, obviously. So that is, let me do some awesome math. On pace for 17 sacks this year. But that was a much tougher. He had a couple hits to go with and he also had that forced fumble by Landry, which Wentz got back, but it was a great play by Landry. So they had to really fight to get pressure. This was a good test of those guys, and I still think you come out of there pretty encouraged that, like, if they can have all 4 of those guys, and by the way, Autry and Simmons both at times hobbled off, but they came back. But if they can have all 4 of those guys going, I think they're going to have a good pass rush. But that particular play, I'm with you. It's like, okay, that's going to be the story of the game, is that Carson Wentz yet again had an outrageous turnover to lose a game. What's crazy is that actually did turn out to be the story, just, a little bit more of a traditional turnover after it looked like he might be the hero.
Yeah, well, it was, on that play in the end zone, like they're trying to set up a screen there, right? And Danico Autry is blocking that play off. And I'm just thinking to myself, dude, just throw the ball in the dirt right at the feet of Danico Autry. They're not going to call you for grounding right there when the running back's right behind you. Just throw the ball in the dirt. And you're trying to do too much. And, at that point, I agree with you. You're trying to avoid taking a safety there. I don't think he thought that Elijah Molden was going to swing in there and intercept the ball. But, man, what a decision that was from Carson Wentz. And then a great play by Kevin Byard in overtime. And we found out in the postgame from Vrabel that was something that Kevin checked to on that play. Had a conversation with David Long. Kevin Byard checks to that sort of coverage and makes a big play. It's, we talked about it last week. Kevin Byard continuing to make big plays for this defense, and a lot of conversation yesterday of, is Kevin Byard going to be an All-Pro again this year? I think that's certainly on the table at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, so he I guess because I asked him specifically, like, did you change the coverage? And he said, no, it was changing basically how they were going to cover something, without getting too specific. But he changed what David Long did on the play. But he came a long way. So that's obviously just like in all these games. There's repeat plays and routes, combinations that you get more familiar with as the game goes on. It's not going to be new every time. And like, he clearly knew or had a really good idea of what Wentz was going to be looking for in that play. And Wentz is just, he looked at it the whole way. And just a great play by a veteran. And, the PI was obviously not good. And he said, like, he got beat. He thought the route was going to be in breaking. He was kind of thinking post. He ends up going hard to the corner, and he catches up, but was trying to time up the ball. Obviously got there early, and you're like, man, they are actually going to let them score that touchdown. But that's another example, I think, of the Titans able to, get through even like their own bad mistakes, and keep playing, which everybody talks about. And some teams do sometimes, but again, they for the most part, they just do seem to have this confidence that they're going to get through that stuff.
Let's go to the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Tyler from Berry Hill texting in. Can you guys explain to me how Carson Wentz wasn't down on the 3rd and 16 where he throws the jump ball to Pittman after Bud Dupree almost got the sack? He clearly holds himself up with the ball, and I always thought if you use the ball to hold yourself up that you're down. Am I wrong?
First of all,
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's the big play where he chucks it up and there's 4 Titans around the ball and Pittman somehow comes down with the ball, and I was thinking to myself, oh, my goodness, how in the world have they allowed this to happen? I didn't get a good look at the replay. I thought at the time that he may have been down, but quite honestly, I never saw a replay on it because the broadcast kept going, and they were running the next play and getting up there. So I never really saw a replay of whether or not Carson Wentz was down. If it was him just holding himself up with the ball, I don't think that's down.
No, only if he's touched, maybe that may be true. But it's just like in the NFL, you can go to both knees and then get back up if you're not touched by a defender. So I'm actually, Ben, I appreciate the question because there was a bunch of stuff coming at me on Twitter about that, like during overtime. And I'm like, I don't even know what play you're talking about. I had no idea that happened in that play, but I don't believe that if you go down in any way, if a defender isn't contacting you, that you're down. You can roll around on the ground and do a backspin,
Well, I think he did get tripped up a little bit on the play, but I don't think he was ever down. Like, the ball was on the ground, but I don't think
he was tripped up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's one of those plays that, sometimes it's beneficial to just be watching it on TV versus being in the press box because it's, chaotic and you don't see all the replays. But, I think you can keep yourself up with the ball.
Yeah. I think
Is that not true?
Yeah, I think you can.
I'm trying to find the rule right now. I heard that a lot.
Got a text that says something has to be done about these pass interference calls. Make it 15 yards, not spot fouls. It's such a cheap way to me to move the ball down the field. And there's no question, not even just in the Titans game, but if you watch the Niners game as well with the Colts, they've been the beneficiary of some big calls down the field with pass interference as of late.
Yeah, look, and first of all, I disagree. I like it being a spot foul. I think in this league with professionals, you should have consequence
I agree.
Because if you make it like college, we are going to see just guys ripping guys. They'll take that all day.
They're just going to be tackling people in the secondary.
Yeah. There's no look at the Colts here. They ended up with 307 yards in an overtime game, in a game that went well into overtime. And they got 83 yards on 2 PIs, they got a quarter of their entire offensive day on 2 plays where they just heaved it up. And again, look, I have a feeling you and I may disagree on some of these penalties as we discuss them coming up in the show. But the bottom line is if you're late and catching up like that, then a lot of times you're going to be in trouble. It takes a lot of awareness and timing and feel to be able to turn and play the ball, in the air when you're catching up with a receiver. And the Titans did not do that well on those 2 plays.
We'll continue the conversation on the Titans, taking your thoughts on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. What do we make of the defensive performance for the Titans yesterday? We'll get to that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Mucinex presents Trusted Allies of Doctors. Throughout history, doctors have used tools they trust to help them treat your illnesses. But what do they trust when they have a cough and cold? Mucinex, the #1 brand doctors trust.
Discover matches all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year. Automatically. Discover, something brighter. Learn more at discover.com/match.
Celebrate Thanksgiving with Social Furniture and save up to 70% off all furniture. They have sofas, sectionals with chase lounge, and recliners that are all push-button electric and wall away. They have all colors to choose from for your comfort watching any hockey game. All of them are plus leather, microfiber, and Chanel's. They have same-day delivery with no down payments and no interest. Forget the big box store. Support local. Support social. Social Furniture is a proud supporter of your Nashville Predators.
Listen up, sports bettors. This is Hall of Famer Warren Sapp here to tell you about my favorite sports book, BetUS.com. I only endorse one sports book, and that's BetUS.com. Just like me, BetUS is the Hall of Famer of online betting with more than 25 years in the biz. Call today, and they will get you set up faster than I can run the 40. I play at BetUS, and so should you. BetUS.com.
Use code GAME for a sign-up bonus.
Tell them Sapp sent you.
Houston Clinic Orthopedics is conveniently located where you live and work. With over 10 locations in Nashville and surrounding communities, Houston physicians specialize in spine, joint replacement, knee, hip, upper extremity, as well as many other orthopedic conditions. At Houston Clinic Orthopedics, they are strictly adhering to all CDC guidelines for both their patients and staff safety. To experience world-class orthopedic care and to see a list of all Houston physicians and specialties, visit their website at tn.houston.com and book your appointment online today.
Calling all sweet tooths. Head to Nashville Toffee Company, a place where rich, chocolatey daydreams are created from a secret family recipe generations in the making. Their toffees and candies are handcrafted in Nashville using all natural, kosher-certified ingredients. Sweet creamery butter, pure cane sugar, premium roasted nuts, deep rich chocolate, and sea salt. Visit NashvilleToffeeCompany.com or drop by their headquarters on Air Lane Drive for a positively hassle-free shopping experience. Whether you're buying for 1 or 100, Nashville Toffee Company is here to make your holiday gift-giving easy.
Yo, this is Justin from Music City Vintage, here to provide you with all your vintage apparel and shoe needs. We've partnered with 102.5 The Game to provide you all with an exclusive discount today. Come to our shop today, located in East Nashville at 2503 Gallatin Avenue, and say The Game at checkout and get 10% off your entire order. If you're unable to make it in, we got something for you as well. All of our products in store are also available on our website at musiccityvtg.com. Just use promo code GAME at checkout and get 10% off your order.
Rock Bottom Nashville is Broadway's original brewery, where all brews are brewed on site. Josh Rappaport is Rock Bottom's brewmaster, creating fresh craft beers where peak flavors are always the rule. Grab one of their blockbuster beers to pair with their nachos, pretzel bites, and delicious flatbreads. They even have group catering. They boast one of the best views of downtown Nashville and is a short walk to Titan Stadium. And enjoy happy hour Monday through Friday afternoons from 2 until 6. Rock Bottom Nashville, 111 Broadway.
Hey Nashville, Vanderbilt football coach Clark Lee here, inviting you to tune in on ESPN 94.9 every Monday at 6 p.m. for the Commodore Hour, providing you with exclusive insights on Vanderbilt athletics.
Hey, this is Roman Yossi. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Discover matches all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year, automatically. Discover, something brighter. Learn more at discover.com/match.
I don't think there's much to evaluate right now. I think it's just to enjoy the victory, enjoy the heart of that football team, the compassion that they play with for each other, the loyalty they have to this football team. It's a grind. There's guys that are, banged up, beat up, but they find a way, and I appreciate it. And again, I tell you this all the time. I'm so humbled and honored to be their coach.
That was Titans head coach Mike Vrabel after the game yesterday, a 34-31 win for the Titans in overtime against the Colts. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming live on Twitch, on Twitter, and on YouTube today and every day. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. Robby and Rexrode brought to you by Volunteer State Bank, conveniently serving Middle Tennessee with 13 locations. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Joe, an interesting day yesterday for the Titans defense. Jeffrey Simmons goes down early in the game, and he's over there getting his lower body looked at on the sideline, and you're thinking to yourself, well, great, that's exactly what the Titans need right now. Let's just lose Jeffrey Simmons because they've not had enough injuries to this point. He's able to come back in the game. You mentioned earlier Danico Autry at one point goes down in the game. There was a collision, may have been with Chris Jackson, I think maybe, in the secondary, and he got hit right in the knee, went down, eventually came back in as well. So avoiding some potential disaster there on the injury front on the defensive side of the ball, but did not start well defensively in that game for the Titans. The Colts marched right down the field on their opening drive. They score a touchdown, and then a bad pick, or brutal pick, by Ryan Tannehill in the first quarter, and Indianapolis scores on the next play. So before you can really blink in that game, you're down 14-0, but obviously – we've played the audio of the interception by Kevin Byard, the play by Elijah Molden. Defense comes up with some big plays in this game. Joe, this defense isn't perfect, and, they're not going to be, I think, a top 10 defense by the time everything is said and done this year. But the difference that I've seen, number one, the pass rush, still at times, even in games where it's not as effective as it was against Kansas City, still making some big plays for the Titans yesterday, and they've just got guys finding the football and making some big plays at the moment, and that happened a few times again yesterday.
Yeah, and look, Monty Rice comes in with Rashaan Evans is a late add to the injury report with an ankle on Friday, just like Amani Hooker.
Yep,
was a late add. Now, there's also the conspiracy theory with this. The trading deadline coming up. Rashaan Evans probably going to be somewhere else. Maybe someone out there is interested in Rashaan Evans. I don't know.
Maybe so.
Hey, you never know. But he's on the injury report with an ankle, so Monty Rice has to come in. And I thought Monty Rice was fine. I mean, he was second on the team with 7 tackles. He had one of the 7 passes defended for the Titans. Bayard had one of the 9 passes defended for the Titans. Molden with a couple, Bayard with 3. But, he stepped in, did a decent job. You still look at a lot of these spots on the defense and say, okay, when Fulton comes back, what does that mean? If and when they have inside linebacker figured out, what does that mean? David Long continues to just be all over the field. 9 tackles, 2 QB hits, a pass defended for of his own. So there's some things on there that are starting to become weekly, things you can count on. Again, it doesn't mean that they're the 85 Bears. They're not locking people down. You're going to move the ball between the 20s on them, especially if you can protect your quarterback, which the Colts actually did a pretty good job of. But I think certainly this defense has a different confidence this year that it can get off the field on third down. Last year, it felt at times like it was just 3rd and 14. Titans are screwed. It doesn't feel like that anymore. They can actually affect quarterbacks and make some plays in the back end and can get better. I mean, Christian Fulton could, in theory, return for the Sunday night football game in LA. No idea if that's on the table or not, but technically that is possible.
Right. Which would be a very welcome addition for the Titans if they could get him back in there. But, here we are again. Pittman, I thought, had a good game yesterday for the Colts. I mean, the guy, he's really physical. That's the thing and we knew that last year. I mean, 10 catches, 86 yards, 2 touchdowns for Pittman yesterday, including the play that we talked about a little bit earlier, just going up around 4 Titans defenders and high pointing the football, coming down with a big catch. I mean, I think he's a really, really good player. Other than that, I just don't think the Colts have all that much at the wide receiver position. I mean, Pascal's okay. T.Y. Hilton comes back yesterday. I didn't think he was much of a factor in the game. Although I will say, here we are again, Jack Doyle, another touchdown against the Titans, man. He's Titans killer, Joe.
Titans killer, Jack Doyle. That's right. And T.Y. got hurt too.
Yep.
So, he didn't really get much of a chance to do what he has traditionally done to the Titans. They're 7 for 16 on third down. It's not like you're thrilled about that as a defense, giving up 43%, but they got some big stops in there, and they got also a big 4th down stop. These coaches love going on 4th down. Titans 2 for 2, Colts 2 for 3. But I do think that the Titans were let off the hook a little bit by Frank Reich. Just again by not seeing what you could get going with Jonathan Taylor in the 4th quarter of that game. Meanwhile, of course, the other side, the Titans kept hammering away with Derrick Henry, even though to me he was clearly limited. But I know we'll talk more about that later. Overall, it was a resilient effort. The defense got put in some bad spots too. Let's remember that.
Yep.
You're talking about a 7-yard drive for the Colts. They had some short drives. A 57-yard drive in the 3rd quarter that leads to the Doyle, and that's all about the PI on Hooker. So the defense got put in some bad spots, especially early, and still ended up, really giving you a potential winning play, and then giving you a winning play that sets up Randy Bullock.
Let's go to the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Dustin from Hopkinsville, Kentucky, texting in. We're finding out that Vrabel might be elite one day. We thought this team was doomed with injuries, but the more they play banged up, the more we see Vrabel can do a lot with a little. It has been very impressive to see what this Titans coaching staff has been able to put together, not only yesterday in the Colts game, but really through the 3-game stretch as a whole with the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Colts. Very well coached games in those games by the Titans.
Yes, and another thing that I think is present in this rivalry, maybe it's not for them, but it looks that way for me because remember Vrabel was up for this job, and I think at least 1 or 2 others. I think the Lions Lucky guy.
God bless him.
Yeah, stay the heck away from that bleep show. But I do feel like there's always going to be this natural comparison between the GMs of these two teams. And we've talked a lot about that, about the genius Chris Ballard, the darling of the NFL media, and then, Frank Reich and Mike Vrabel. And right now, Rob is winning.
Yeah.
Rob is kind of kicking their butt at this point.
Let's go back to the text line. Joe from Maryland texting in. There are 0 people in my family who are balding. I'm the only one, and I could solely blame being a Titans fan, but it feels good to sweep the Colts. Todd Downing was questionable yesterday. If he ran play action a little bit more, Leonard and the other linebackers were biting so hard on the run.
Yeah, there were a couple, are they going to just go with the run here on 2nd and long, that went backward? I mean, there were a few calls that I didn't love. And I will say that one that I don't have a problem with, it just worked out. The Colts were in position, guy made a play, but I didn't hate the A.J. Brown idea at all. But, overall, I still think it's been pretty good on the Downing front, especially relative to the expectations of some, especially the expectations of people who are Raiders fans.
Yes, I would say most part it's been pretty good for Todd Downing thus far. Even yesterday when Derrick Henry, as you pointed out, didn't get rolling all that much. We'll get to Derrick Henry's game yesterday and picture of him as a whole coming up to begin the 7 o'clock hour. But, still 28 carries, 68 yards for Derrick Henry yesterday. I mean, it was pretty clear the Colts were not going to allow him to get going. And, given the situation that he was going through earlier in the game, getting checked out on the sideline, he had the shoe off, walking around. It kind of looked like Derrick Henry was not at full strength yesterday.
Oh, I don't think there's any question. I think that there were 3 or 4 runs where 100% Derrick Henry accelerates and turns them into, if not home runs, like big runs, like 15, 20-yard runs where he gets to that next level, accelerates through, because those seams they're rarely big for him. Let's face it. I mean, a lot of times he's just running into a throng of bodies, but even when he has seams, a lot of times, I mean, you've got to hit it now. And I thought if you played all those carries out with fully fresh, healthy Derrick Henry, I think he's probably got about 120 yards rushing. And instead he ends up with 68. He couldn't get to that next gear like we're used to seeing him do. And I don't think there's any question. He's on the sideline with the trainers. He's looking something with his foot, ankle, something. And then, of course, after the game, decided not to talk and was getting treatment. So, those two guys who have been just incredibly healthy for this team.
Yeah.
Finally, seriously, it's like a virus. It's like an injury virus on this team.
It really is. Coming up next, we'll get into the officiating from yesterday's game, which both Titans fans and Colts fans had a pretty big issue with while the game was going on and while the game ended as well, including some thoughts from Mike Vrabel on the officiating as well. That's coming up next. Right now, though, the final game of NFL Week 8 is tonight, and FanDuel Sportsbook wants you to get the most out of every play. That's why they're giving everyone a $10 risk-free bet every single week, and all you got to do is bet a same-game parlay bet with 3 legs or more, and if your first bet doesn't win, FanDuel will pay you back up to $10. The Chiefs and the Giants in action tonight, and I got to tell you, I expect a get-right game from the Kansas City Chiefs tonight. Give me the Chiefs on the money line. Give me Mahomes over on the passing yards. Give me Tyreek Hill over on the receiving yards as well. But you take it any way you want to take it. Offers like this are why I love betting with FanDuel Sportsbook. You get your winnings in as little as 2 hours. It's America's #1 sportsbook. So if you're new to FanDuel Sportsbook, sign up today with promo code ROB to also receive a risk-free bet up to $1,000. Once again, that promo code is ROB so they know that I sent you. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Refund issued is non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. A max refund of $10. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Same game parlay available for multiple sports in all states on mobile and web. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Discover matches all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year. Automatically. Discover. Something brighter. Learn more at discover.com/match.
from the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Mostly sunny to partly cloudy this afternoon with a high of 63 degrees. Enjoy it. Highs drop to the mid and lower 50s for the middle portion of the week.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Winter's a bad time for your furnace to go out, but it's never a bad time to call Lee Company. Our heating and air conditioning pros are available 24/7. No heat? Don't wait. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000. Our expert technicians will diagnose the issue and fix it right the first time. When you're cold, you need someone you can count on to bring the heat. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
Hey, it's Jared Stillman. Guys, are you tired of feeling old? You know that feeling. You don't have any energy. You're gaining pounds. Well, guess what? My friends at Invigorate Health are the ones to help you. They don't just focus on one area of the aging body. They take care of all of it with so many different therapies that can restore your vitality and are designed with you specifically in mind. So give them a try. Invigorate Health if you want to feel young again. Out in Mount Juliet at 615-288-4777 or InvigorateHealthTN.com.
Bill Burr, Slight Return.
My wife always says the same thing. She's always just like, where did that come from? You just go from 0 to 100 in 2 seconds.
From his Netflix specials and F is for Family, Bill Burr, Slight Return. Friday, April 22nd, Bridgestone Arena.
First of all, I idle at 75 miles an hour, all right? So don't give me this 0 to 100. I walked into this restaurant at 75. I could hear that guy talking too loud on his cell phone from the parking lot.
Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com.
Darren McFarland.
That should get you in the mood for a game tonight.
Willie Donick.
I think between 5.5 and 6 is probably in the ballpark.
Chase McCabe.
Typically, I like to take the most difficult task and do it first.
Darren, Donick, and Chase have you covered weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Curacion CBD on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is Robby and Rexrode on ESPN 1025 The Game.
Do you want to win a pair of tickets to see Evanescence and Hailstorm at Bridgestone Arena on Friday, December the 3rd? Well, head on over to YouTube and subscribe to the 1025 The Game YouTube page, and you'll enter for your chance to see Evanescence and Hailstorm live. Once you subscribe, email us at promotions@cromwellmedia.com with your YouTube handle. One winner will be chosen on Monday, November the 8th. Welcome back in. Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game, brought to you by Volunteer State Bank, conveniently serving Middle Tennessee with 13 locations. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you, breaking down a big Titans win against the Colts. Welcoming your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Joe Rexrode, a big story yesterday, both while the game was going on and after the game as well, was the officiating in the game. And Colts fans were griping about some calls that went the Titans' way. Titans fans were griping about some calls that went the Colts' way, and that's typically what we see on an NFL Sunday. But there were a few where I just looked around and thought to myself, what in the world's going on here? The A.J. Brown catch that Mike Vrabel had to challenge, I was looking at the time like, you were standing right there as an official. It's very clearly a catch in real time, to the point where A.J. Brown was almost in disbelief when he got back up and would not hand the ball back to the official because he was like, are you kidding me? Did you seriously just call that incomplete? That play drove me nuts. A play that you and I are going to talk about here in a minute with Jeffrey Simmons drove me absolutely insane yesterday because now we're penalizing players for the officials not being able to blow a whistle. But we'll get to that here in just a second. Mike Vrabel had some very interesting thoughts on the officiating yesterday as well. Here's what Titans head coach Mike Vrabel had to say about the officiating after the game.
Some of the penalties, Mike, you said, never mind the ones you might have had beef with. Some of them seem like not very smart football. Does that frustrate you, upset you at this stage?
Well, which ones are you referring to? And we'll go back and talk about them.
Simmons hitting the guy in the back.
Just blow the whistle. You know what I mean? There's 4 guys on him. You know what I mean? Jeff's going to go to the full tilt to the tackle. And I felt like it was a late whistle. I'm not saying it wasn't a penalty. Felt like it was a late whistle. We've been down this road before. They need to blow the whistle. It's a player safety issue. But Jeff has coached and Jeff has been trained and taught to run to the football, until the whistle. And there was far too many guys on that tackle not to blow the whistle sooner. So, we'll have to keep coaching Jeff. But just so you know, the league said that in Jacksonville when he was running to the ball that shouldn't have been a penalty. So he's going to keep running to the football.
Hooker failing to turn and find the ball.
Let's take a look at it in review. Let's take a look at it and see how much contact there was.
Did you feel like that was a trend today with late whistles and late flags?
Well, I mean, late flag, whenever they're confident. I mean, I just think it's mind-boggling that I have to challenge a catch that A.J. Brown makes in the middle of the field. I mean, there's 7 officials, and there's replay official. And how many countless of other people, and I have to challenge, like I have to pull the flag out and throw it at that point in time. Like, so, again, we're going to have to get better. To Paul's point, the penalties will hurt you. I mean, the block in the back or the hole there when we're in field goal range, like that bothers me much more. That has to get fixed much more than an aggressive penalty there on 3rd down or, deep in the back part of the field. Like, hey, we're trying to win the football game, man. We just are trying to get a couple yards and kick it, and we had a penalty.
Mike on the wire, PI, communication of it all that. How did you get to that point?
I just know that there was somebody behind him, and he was doing whatever he could do to keep him out of the end zone.
That was Titans head coach Mike Vrabel yesterday after the game, talking about the officiating. So, Joe, a couple of things there. Number one, I don't know what the response from the NFL is going to be on that, but I can't imagine they probably like Mike Vrabel just giving it to the officials like that in the postgame press conference, even though I loved it. I loved every second of that yesterday. Number two, the best part of that was him actually pulling the challenge flag out in the press conference and acting like he was throwing it, which was maybe the greatest thing I've ever seen from Mike Vrabel. But those two things aside, your reaction to Vrabel's postgame comments, your reaction to the officiating that we saw yesterday in Indianapolis.
Yeah, well, again, like I've seen enough like conversation both ways to see like there's Colts fans saying like the officials are why they lost, and there would be Titans fans saying that had their team lost. I agree wholeheartedly, and I'm fully in favor of that rant about the A.J. Brown catch. Like, how does this happen? It's in front of
it's unbelievable.
I'm in the press box, like way up, like. And I could see that he caught the ball like in real time from like way far away. It's right in front of him. I don't understand how mistakes like that are made. And of course, the officials were very active. Again, we mentioned earlier the 11 for 161 for the Titans. I mean, the Colts had 9 for 75. So there's 20 for, let me do some math here, 20 for 236 in this game. There's 600 yards of offense in the game, 647 yards of offense, and there's 230. Ridiculous. I thought, like the holdings and things like that on both teams. I mean, most of the replays looked accurate. Where I'm going to fight with you and with Vrabel, and I've already fought with everybody on Twitter, the Simmons one, look, I agree on the whistle. So the officials are culpable when it comes to player safety. If you don't blow the whistle quickly enough, then you open yourself up for something like that. So I agree. Also, unless it's 2002, you're a defensive lineman launching yourself into the back of a receiver who's going backwards because he's being dragged down by 5 guys. You will get hit with a 15-yarder 100 out of 100 times. Every single time, you will get nailed for that.
Well, what are you getting flagged for? Is it a late hit? How's it
unnecessary roughness?
How's it a late hit?
Unnecessary.
What's unnecessary? Why is it unnecessary? The play's still going on.
Because the guy's going backward, Robby.
If he's going backward, blow the whistle.
I don't disagree.
Well, then it can't be both. It cannot be, hey, we're not going to blow the whistle. So the play is technically still live, but don't hit him. Like, it can't be both.
Sure, it can be. A play can be over and the whistle can be blown, and you can hit someone in the face and you get hit with a 15-yard penalty. That is excessive hitting of a guy who's not going forward. There's no need. Like, if Simmons got in there and joined the fray and like grabbed him, and he probably doesn't get whistled. And again, I agree they should have blown the whistle, but he launched into his back. And especially if you are a D lineman or a bigger player and you do that against a skill player in this league, look, you can hate it, but you can't tell me you were surprised. As soon as he did that, I was like, well, let's see, where's the flag coming up? There it is. It's 100 out of 100.
I was absolutely surprised because the whistle hadn't been blown. It's ridiculous.
But okay, but it's not I'm talking about the hit itself. You can't make that hit. In this league,
it didn't even knock him down. What are we talking about here? You act like it was some vicious hit. Pittman didn't even fall down on the play. He never was down.
Watch what Simmons did. I mean, it's not even close. Watch what Simmons did. You can't do that. You can't. I mean, honestly, even if one guy had him and you go helmet to back like that, I could see the flag going out. But in that situation where he's done going forward, he's going backward. The play's over. Yes, blow the whistle. Agree. The officials made a player safety issue by not whistling the play dead. But you see a big guy launch into a little guy like that. Dude, come on. In this league now, they call. I mean, if you grab a quarterback's foot, they'll call you for going low. And I mean,
to that point,
hate it.
Well, to that point, you're right. I mean,
you
you never know what they're going to call in this league anymore. So I get it from that point. To me, it was absolute malpractice by the officials on that play. Blow the whistle, and if Jeffrey Simmons hits him after the whistle, then throw the flag. But not blowing the whistle in that play, if it's so egregious that he's being pushed backwards and you're not blowing the whistle, what are you doing as an official out there? Like, what is Jeffrey Simmons supposed to do there? Just say, you know what? I assume that my guys are just going to make this tackle, so I'm just going to hold up here until somebody blows the whistle. Oh, wait, there's no whistle being blown, so I just keep standing here?
Well, okay, again, two things being true. Agree on the whistle. Why they didn't blow it, I have no idea. But if you're Jeffrey Simmons right there and you see that, again, 4 guys have him going backward, what do you need to do? Why do you need to do that? I mean, especially, again, if you want to get in there and just make sure and wrap him up, fine. He took a shot at his back. I mean that was a gimme.
So now we can't hit him in the head, we can't hit him in the feet, and now we can't hit him in the back. So where can you hit him?
Well, you don't need to hit someone whose forward progress has been stopped. I mean, the play's
forward
over.
progress has not been stopped because the whistle's not been blown.
But he's going backward. He's not breaking out of that, and you got to be able to recognize that. He's not getting away from your teammates. Again, it's just like crackback blocks now. You can't do them. So what do guys do? They sort of get in the way, a little bit of this, right? Hey, I remember when it used to be you would take your opportunity to just unload on someone, right? Okay, well, in a situation like that, if you want to be sure, then gently put your hands on him, but you can't do what he did. And it's going to get called every time in this league.
This is going to be a big story today. Had the Titans that was the drive they lost the game on. It ultimately ended up not really mattering because they had to punt on that drive, but I totally disagree with you. I think you're so wrong on this. Josh from Dixon texting in, Joe, you were so wrong on the Simmons hint. I don't understand what you've seen. You were in a Twitter war yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I got it on Twitter. I will say, for whatever it's worth, I think TD was next to me and he was like, but then I was like, but look, then we watched the replay. He's like, yeah, you can't do it. You can't do it. You can't do it. It's how it's called. So again, this gets into the discussion of football's gotten soft or whatever. Fine. If you hate that, hate it. But that's consistent in terms of how they call things like that.
Well, it made it even worse because the next series, Derrick Henry gets the ball, he's going down, and takes an absolute headshot, and there's nothing. So what that is telling me is that the Jeffrey Simmons play is more dangerous than Derrick Henry taking a helmet-to-helmet shot right on the play, and there's no flag thrown. It's just ridiculous.
Well, look, there's inconsistency, and there probably is more with Derrick Henry, who takes big shots every game. But especially, smaller guys with bigger guys hitting them. I mean, I do think that like Jeffrey Simmons, does he have a rep as he's had some penalties? I think some guys are probably under, are being watched more than others. That's another thing with him. But, look, I agree on the whistle. Anything else, though, I just don't know how, if you've watched football, that you'd be surprised if they threw that flag.
What'd you think of the PI penalties yesterday that were called?
Well, the Byard one was clear.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he tried to time it. I mean,
the Hooker one in particular.
Well, the Hooker one on replay looks a lot less. But in real time, you're still talking about not playing the ball and you're kind of running into the receiver. He made less contact on the replay than I thought in real time. But in real time, I mean, I certainly, that was down where we were in that end zone. And I was like, that's a clear PI. It was less clear on replay. But again, in real time, if you're an official, you see a deep ball, you see a receiver beat the guy. the guy not play the ball and come make contact with the receiver, I think you're throwing that flag 9 times out of 10.
I had less of a problem with those, mainly because on at least 3 instances yesterday, if you're the Titans and you turn your head around as a defensive back, you probably got 3 picks. I think one hit, I want to say it was Chris Jackson right off the hands too, and he didn't even turn around on the play. That could have been 3 picks for the Titans yesterday.
Yeah, the underthrown PI. I mean, that's the Colts' best offense. It should be Jonathan Taylor, but they've gone to the underthrown PI as their primary mode of offense.
We'll continue to take your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Coming up next, we'll get into Derrick Henry's day yesterday, what this means for the MVP race, and how concerned are we about his health moving forward. All that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The voice of reason.
274 yards, 2 interceptions, 0 touchdowns. You're not going to win a game that way.
The voice of the fan.
I'm tired of let's just give it to a quarterback.
The voice of Nashville sports is your home of Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
College football is back. Make the most of game day and grab a cold, refreshing Dos Equis lager as you cheer on your favorite team with its light taste and perfectly balanced ingredients. Dos Equis lager won't weigh you down when you're celebrating that touchdown. Pick up a pack wherever you buy beer and not nearly enough snacks. Dos Equis, a proud sponsor of college football. Get a dose. Enjoy a Dos Equis responsibly. Copyright 2021. Imported by Cervezas Mexicanas, White Plains, New York.
It's not just about being in your community. It's about being your community. Come experience the all-new state-of-the-art Volunteer State Bank, second Murfreesboro location at 2019 Memorial Boulevard. Volunteer State Bank offers personalized services like banking for professionals, free Kasasa checking, the convenience of mobile banking, and the money you need when you need it. Visit one of our 13 locations or online at volstatebank.com. Real people, real solutions, right here. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Genesis Diamond's biggest and final sale of the year is here this weekend. It's an incredible event with savings of 20, 25, even up to 35% store-wide. Rings, earrings, pendants, bands, bracelets, nothing's held back for this once-a-year 3-day extravaganza. Acclaimed designers are here with expanded collections and extraordinary pricing. Plus, get 0% interest financing. The final store-wide sale of the year with discounts up to 35% this Friday, Saturday, and yes, open Sunday for this great event. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. See store for details.
When Genesis Diamonds has a sale, you know it's the real deal, and it's happening this weekend. Our final store-wide sale of the year with deep discounts up to 35% off. This is the big one. The one where the staff knows they can break all the rules. Plus, the selection is nearly doubled with designers here from LA and New York with their entire collections, all of it on sale. This is the last and best jewelry buying opportunity of the year. Save up to 35%, 0 interest financing. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. See store for details.
Yo, this is Justin from Music Vintage. We're here to provide you with all your vintage apparel needs. Tons of great shoes and memorabilia from your past. We're located in the heart of East Nashville at 2503 Gallatin Avenue, where we do buy, sell, and trade. Got some clothes your stepdad gave you in the 90s? Found some dope clothes in your granddad's closet? Bring it by, we'll give you a cash offer. Found some at a thrift store and don't know where to sell it? Bring it by, we'll give you a cash offer. Got some new Jordans that don't quite fit well? Bring it by and we'll give you a cash offer. Music Vintage, here to provide you with all your vintage and shoe needs. See y'all soon, Nashville.
Hey, this is Jared, the owner of MTGRT.com. If your mortgage rate is not in the 2s, then you need to call me now. We are locking in clients in the 2s with no closing costs. That's right, you heard it right. Locking in clients in the 2s with no closing costs. Text me on my personal cell at 615-969-2257 or fill out a few pieces of information on our website, MTGRT.com. MTGRT.com is the proud sponsor of Paul Feinbaum, heard on 102.5 The Game and ESPN 94.9.
Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT-FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ HD2 Laverne, online at thegamenashville.com. We are
ESPN
102.5 The Game. Live. It's Robby and Rexrode with Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in. Hour number 2 of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Brought to you by Volunteer State Bank. Real people, real solutions, right here. Remember, FDIC, equal housing lender. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning in Nashville, Tennessee, reacting to a big Titans win against the Colts, 34-31 in overtime against the Colts. Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic just telling me how much she likes it when you and I yell at each other.
We don't do it enough.
We need to yell more. Just start yelling all the time.
We can start manufacturing some screaming matches.
We can.
I do that. By the way, speaking of that, I just have to bring this up. Did you see that Jared quote tweeted me with his little sweaty video yesterday?
Yeah, yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Shout out to Adam Bingen, who said the only controversy is that you didn't shower before making this video.
Ugh.
By the way, though, on that point, now, and granted, I mean, just a horrific. Both of those turnovers.
Not good.
So does that verify Carson Wentz sucks? Terrible signing. It's over.
I wouldn't say that. I would just say that it was reaffirmation yesterday that he is still capable of the death pick, and he threw a couple of death picks yesterday.
Well, like TD, and of course TD covered him in Philly. I think hero ball is a great way to describe Wentz.
Yeah.
There's just some plays, and it's like Mahomes gets into that sometimes. We've made the comparison to your guy Brett Favre. Just sometimes it's just better sometimes to go ahead and sail one out of bounds or take a sack, and Wentz struggles with that. But he has an incredible knack for it's like finding a defender on some of those plays. Even the one against the Rams or the one last week, it's just it's like the ball is magnetized to the nearest defender. I still think he's been actually pretty good this year, but hey, between injuries and then those plays, I mean, if you're a Colts fan or you're the Colts organization, you got to feel a lot less convicted today that he's your guy moving forward.
Let's go to Ben on the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Two good things from yesterday. We won, and now we can focus on how good the whole team is instead of just Derrick Henry, because his trajectory towards MVP can be laid to rest. The last 2 weeks knocked him off the pace to be considered. He needed the whole 12 to 14 weeks of momentum connected to actually win the MVP. So we read off Derrick Henry's stats earlier in the game. 28 carries, 68 yards, a long of 9 yesterday. So the Colts did a great job against Derrick Henry. And as you pointed out, it was pretty clear Derrick Henry was not completely healthy yesterday as well. Do you buy what Ben has tossed out there of this is taking him way off the pace to win MVP and that now can be laid to rest?
No. I mean, Ben, no one. Go back through Jim Brown's best season, Barry Sanders' best season, Walter Payton's best season, Emmett Smith, whatever. No one does it every week. So if Derrick Henry puts up a 200 burger on the Texans coming up, and that makes up for this one, right? So no, it doesn't end it. And the thing is, again, what is necessary? We've talked about all these different things. One thing that's necessary is the Titans having a spectacular year, and now that is I could still make the case that yesterday still helped him because he's not going to come close unless he's on the 1 seed or something close to it in the AFC this year. You can have a huge day or two. You're going to have a few days where you don't hit 100 yards. I mean, otherwise there'd be a lot of guys who get 2,000 yards in this league. It's very difficult to do that. So I don't buy that. Now, I do think that based on how he looked yesterday, you could make a case for a week off here or there, maybe a week off in LA if he's not fully himself playing an NFC game. I know it's a huge game. And look, if you want to talk MVP, Sunday Night Football, showcase, everybody watch. I mean, from that perspective, it's an opportunity, but I just don't know how banged up he is. Is that just something where he tweaked something yesterday and by Thursday he's going to be just fine and back to himself? I don't know. I think that's the concern. It looked yesterday 219 carries is what this guy has right now.
Yep.
It looked like, maybe the wear of this season is starting to catch up with him. He's at 219 for 937, which means he's still almost 300 full yards ahead of Jonathan Taylor at 649 for the rushing title. Rushing title, a key component of winning the MVP2, obviously, and 3 in a row is quite a rarity in the NFL.
It is. It was, we talked about early in the first quarter yesterday. There's the shot of Derrick Henry on the sideline. He's got his shoe off, and he's walking around, and the trainers are looking at him. You could tell when he got up after some plays yesterday that he was walking pretty gingerly back to the huddle or back to the sideline or whatever the case may be. I guess my first reaction was, all right, yeah, he's hurt, but he's obviously not hurt enough where he can't play, so that's good news if you're the Titans. But then, post-game comes around, and Derrick Henry, who is always pretty good about taking time to go talk with the media, says, you know what, I got to get some treatment. I can't talk. So no addressing the media yesterday for Derrick Henry. He was getting treatment. So I guess if you're a Titans fan, that's pretty worrisome heading into this week of not even necessarily what it means against the Rams, even though there is this idea out there that I saw yesterday on Twitter, and here we are 8 games into a season, that the Rams game means nothing and just sit Derrick Henry. I don't necessarily disagree with sit Derrick Henry if he's hurt, but this idea that the Rams game means nothing to me is just stupid because there is still the overall record to take in place. But it is concerning that Derrick Henry, at least after the game yesterday, was feeling bad enough where he couldn't walk out there and talk to the media. So if I'm a Titans fan, keeping an eye on that this week for sure.
Yeah, and certainly, and Tannehill too. I mean, Tannehill.
He looked like, yeah.
I mean, he's walking in like barely, and then
looked like Frankenstein walking in.
Yeah, and again he took a long time to get in there after his treatment, and that might be the most second guessable coaching decision from Vrabel yesterday. Dropping back with like 22 seconds left in overtime deep in your own territory, especially because, of course, Nate Davis was out and, Dylan Radunz struggled.
Oh,
he struggled. So that your protection on the interior is way less than normal. And he got thrown to the turf hard. Actually, you could have made a case, by the way, on excessive force in football. You could have made a case there. I think. And we kind of got bounced onto but regardless, that call got him hurt, got him, and I kind of went out of the press room too and watched him kind of walking to the bus. And very, very, maybe it's just a stiff neck, and by Thursday, Henry and Tannehill may be feeling as good as you can feel. We don't know, but my first thought was, keep an eye on that this week too. You don't want to mess around. And you're right, Robby. This is a huge game. If you're going for the 1, I mean, your margin for error is really small because the Bills' schedule looks very easy from here. Now, you have the head-to-head, but can you match their record? How important is it to get the 1? I mean, it gives you a week off in the playoffs plus all your home games. I mean, it seems pretty important.
Yeah.
But then you could also make the case, you know what? If you win your division, which the Titans would have to completely fall apart to not do that, and you get a home game and you go and you're a good road team, maybe it's better to be careful here and there rather than go full tilt to try to get it. I don't know. It's gonna be very interesting, and it's gonna be on a player by player basis in terms of how much are you willing to risk.
I'm glad you brought up Dylan Radunz. Was it that play? Was it where Tannehill got sacked? I can't remember if it was that play or a different sack where Radunz is in the game and they snap the ball. He looks to his left. He looks back to his right, looks straight, and by that time, everyone's gone. He didn't touch anybody on the whole play.
I think that was an earlier one. But, it was like snap, and his guys, has Tannehill wrapped up like instantly. So, and that's, Aaron Brewer starting to come back.
Yeah.
So there's something that could help if Radunz isn't ready. But certainly you saw the downgrade. And by the way, you're going up against the Rams. Pretty good interior D lineman for those guys.
I would say
and
so.
Nate Davis is going to be in concussion protocol this week.
ESPN 94.9 is the official English radio home of the Nashville Soccer Club. Listen in this Sunday as Nashville SC takes on the New York Red Bulls at Nissan Stadium. Pregame starts at 2:15, and the match begins at 2:30. We'll come back. We'll continue the conversation on the Titans. Get into Ryan Tannehill's day yesterday as well. What did we make of the Titans quarterback yesterday against the Colts? All that ahead. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The kick from Bullock is good, and the Tennessee Titans win a wild one.
The Titans eke out a statement victory on the road against the Colts in overtime.
It's a grind. There's guys that are banged up, beat up, but they find a way.
We're reacting all day.
If they can't run the ball, then that's where you increase the opportunity for your pass rush to matter.
On Nashville's best sports talk,
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Discover matches all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year. Automatically. Discover. Something brighter. Learn more at discover.com/match.
Nashville SC Stadium is arriving in 2022, and season tickets are on sale now. With just 150 feet between the pitch and the last row, you'll be right there in the action no matter where you sit. If you thought soccer in Nashville was a party already, you ain't seen nothing yet. So come on in, grab a seat, and stay a while as we open a new era of Nashville sports. For more information on season tickets at the new Nashville SC Stadium, visit nashvillesc.com/22ticks.
What's up, everybody? This is Teron Davenport, and I am here to tell you about Freedom Tire Guys. They're Nashville's premier mobile tire service. New tires, rotating, balancing, flat repair, torquing, they do it all. I can tell you this from personal experience. Just a couple weeks ago, I was at the Titans facility. They came there and changed my tires, all 4 of them. They did an excellent job. My car is riding extra smooth now. If you're in need of tire service, be sure to check them out at freedomtireguys.com. If you don't see the tires you want, they'll go ahead and get it for you.
Treating erectile dysfunction with acoustic wave therapy has been getting a lot of attention lately. But you should know that some are promising results we just haven't seen and charging a lot of money for the treatments as well. This is Kim for the Tennessee Men's Clinic, and if you're looking at acoustic wave therapy or any option to help your ED, you really should call us first. Unlike wave therapy-only clinics, the Tennessee Men's Clinic wave therapy protocols do use acoustic wave technology, but we also often combine it with other treatments that can give most of our patients far higher satisfaction rates. There is no surgery nor any type of invasive procedure required. And even better, depending on your treatment strategy and with our urologist and provider's guidance, you can likely have sex the day after your appointment. We even have other treatments that can help you last up to an hour. Plus, for a limited time, we're waiving our normal appointment charge, which includes a PSA and T test, and offering a free ultrasound, altogether nearly a $400 value for free. So make an appointment today. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments, extra results vary.
Genesis Diamond's biggest and final sale of the year is here this weekend. It's an incredible event with savings of 20, 25, even up to 35% store-wide. Rings, earrings, pendants, bands, bracelets, nothing's held back for this once-a-year 3-day extravaganza. Acclaimed designers are here with expanded collections and extraordinary pricing. Plus, get 0% interest financing. The final store-wide sale of the year with discounts up to 35% this Friday, Saturday, and yes, open Sunday for this great event. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. See store for details.
When Genesis Diamonds has a sale, you know it's the real deal, and it's happening this weekend. Our final store-wide sale of the year with deep discounts up to 35% off. This is the big one. The one where the staff knows they can break all the rules. Plus, the selection is nearly doubled with designers here from LA and New York with their entire collections, all of it on sale. This is the last and best jewelry buying opportunity of the year. Save up to 35%, zero interest financing. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. See store for details.
Interact with Robby and Rexrode. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
How much of a big momentum swing was that? You throw the interception, they fumble it, you guys get it back, and then score a touchdown pass on the next play. How much of a crazy momentum swing was that to get you guys back in it?
Yeah, it was huge. We got the ball back there, no one panicked, and we were able to go get points. So, like I mentioned, it doesn't really matter what happens as long as we have an opportunity. We feel like we can overcome it and keep swinging and find a way to win.
How's your neck or your shoulder?
I'm sore, but I'll be all right.
That was Titans quarterback Ryan Tannehill after a 34-31 win for the Titans yesterday in Indianapolis. Joe, we've not even brought up that sequence yet, which in a game full of crazy plays, that may have been the craziest of the Ryan Tannehill interception throw to Tyquan Lewis. Lewis, returning the interception, appeared to get hurt, I guess pretty significantly on the play, drops the ball as he's going to the ground. Anthony Ferkser dives in and recovers the fumble, and then all hell breaks loose in the pile underneath him. The Colts actually came out of the pile with the ball, but Anthony Ferkser, when you watch the replay, pretty clearly jumped on top of it. It was kind of awful to watch that replay, just kind of a sidebar here, because Lewis, as he goes down, the ball is loose, and like he's in the middle of the pile waving for the trainers to come over because of whatever just happened to what looked like his knee. And then, of course, he had to get carted off the field on that play. But a crazy sequence of events. Tannehill throws an interception. Lewis fumbles the ball. The Titans get it back. And then on the next play, you hit A.J. Brown for a 57-yard touchdown. What a swing that was in the game yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, that's another it is amazing that we've gone this far, but I mean, there's so much out of this game. And that's a sequence that, might bury you if the Colts turn that into 21-7 and keep sort of like extend that 2-touchdown lead again. At some point, it gets difficult to come back. So instead, you get a big break there. And there's another example, by the way. And I mean, if it was flipped around, I'm sure some Titans fans would be saying today, wait a minute, so the ball's on the ground and we came up with it. How is that not our football? Like you said, I mean, I think they actually got that one right. If you clearly see someone recover it and then there's a pile of bodies, which means he's down, then it doesn't matter what happens to the pile. I think too many times officials let the pile become this, this scrum for whoever can, get the ball out of each other's hands.
It's like a battle for Braveheart in there.
And then, like you said, the next play, it's just that's the interesting thing about Tannehill.
Wow.
Tannehill is, I've been hearing that more and more lately. It's kind of weird. So it's kind of in my brain, but we didn't get to ask about that pick. I think I understand what happened on the first pick, and it was actually pretty impressive, sort of change up by the Colts defense.
Yeah, great play by Kenny Moore.
Yeah, basically on that Kenny Moore pick, Moore, they fully expected him to keep going with A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown's basically acting as a clear out there for Marcus Johnson, but Kenny Moore came off him. And so it looked like Tannehill threw into like 3 defenders. But if Moore doesn't come back, that's just a tight window ball that hits Marcus Johnson in the hands. And, whether he catches it or not, I don't know. But, I mean, it's fine. But Kenny Moore coming off, great play by them. I don't know what happened on the second pick. It just looked to me like he was under pressure. D lineman drops his zone blitz, and he didn't see him.
Yep.
So that would have been terrible. But it's interesting. It's an interesting day for Tannehill because I also thought he had some of his best passes of the year last year, and especially, I mean, A.J. Brown right now, he played, I think TD said, TD goes through those snaps, post-game. He said he played 91% of the snaps. So doesn't look like the hammy is any kind of concern. And now it's like he's picking up again where he was last year, where you're talking about, okay, is he one of the elite receivers in the game? He looks uncoverable right now.
He did. And, the 57-yarder we talked about, that was his first target of the game, first catch of the game for A.J. Brown. And he spun Xavier Rhodes around. I mean, that was, Stephen Holder, your colleague at The Athletic, was pretty critical of Rhodes on that play and the tackling effort. And I don't know. I mean, I'd have to go back and watch it, but I know this. It's hard to bring A.J. Brown to the ground, and he just totally cooked Rhodes on that play and was gone after that. And it kind of felt like that was the springboard the Titans offense needed, because after that, I mean, A.J. Brown, 11 targets, 10 catches, 155 yards, and a touchdown, including some big catches on third down on the sideline, some big runs after the catch as well. A.J. Brown was awesome yesterday.
Yeah, there are teams, again, the Rams have a pretty decent corner too. There are teams that may be more equipped to travel with him, and you can bracket him and all that stuff. This is where at some point Julio Jones would be helpful to return and be a factor. But yeah, he looks like he's past all his stuff and like he's now back on that march toward, okay, how many receivers are better in the game than this guy? You did bring up a point that I think is worth repeating. Like you can't go that far into a game without getting something to him, right? Yeah. Like you got to give him the ball. Now, granted, the Titans' first touchdown drive was just a complete smorgasbord of tight end passes. Like,
it's just beautiful.
Just amazing. Like all of a sudden it's like Swain, Ferkser, Pruitt, boom, all down the field. What are you going to do? It's like, what? They're just throwing to the tight ends like crazy. And they scored. So I guess you can't really quibble with a drive that ends in a touchdown, right? But for the most part, yeah, be trying to get him A.J. Brown the ball as much as possible. All of a sudden, he looks like with Tannehill and Henry, the way they look coming out of that game, I say all of a sudden A.J. Brown's like the healthy dude on the offense.
Well, they went on the tight end drive. They went to Ferkser. I believe Ferkser was maybe the second guy on that drive that they went to. And I was like, okay, here we go. About to have some Anthony Ferkser show. And then I look at the final stats, and he's got 1 catch for 8 yards.
Yeah. It was a good catch.
Was a good catch. Hey, Jeff Swaim, though. Everybody knows. I said this on Twitter yesterday. Everybody knows when you need a big play, you go to Jeff Swaim in the end zone. That's what the Titans did yesterday. What did you think overall of Tannehill's performance yesterday? When you factor in, as you said, some of the big throws that he made, finishes with 3 touchdown passes through the air, a couple of big runs as well from Tannehill yesterday on some read option type plays. What did you think overall for the Titans quarterback?
Yeah, overall, it's pretty good. Again, targeting A.J. Brown is going to be good for you. But, I mean, the thing is, so he took that next shot at the end of regulation. In fact, I thought a pretty fantastic pass by Tannehill was 3rd and 13 in overtime, rips one to A.J. Brown, but it's 11. The problem is it was 3rd and 13 because on 2nd and 10, you did the Derrick Henry thing and you lost 3. So an 11-yard completion that normally moves the sticks for you obviously does not move the sticks for you. But then, I mean, it really a lost play in this game because you had Molden, then you got the PI, and you got the Pittman play in the middle of the field, then you have the Byard pick. But remember, you got an illegal block. It was actually a block in the back on A.J. Brown. So you're starting at the Colts 32, and then that moves you out of field goal range. And on 2nd and 20, just a really big bit of execution from Tannehill and Brown over the middle, getting you 13 yards, which then you get a couple more from Derrick Henry, and Randy Bullock gets it done. So huge 2nd and 20 from the 42 out of field goal range. And again, with Tannehill, we saw him walking after the game, right? So probably wasn't feeling great at that point, hung in there and was able to make those winning plays. Overall, yeah, you don't want the picks. I think especially the second one, but you're talking 23 for 33, 265, got sacked 3 times, 98.7 rating, had a 26 yards, like you said, a couple of those real nice little read option looks where he goes around end, and he's just got all kinds of daylight. So, look, I said it and wrote it after the first one over the Colts. The difference between these teams, and remember, Ryan Porth even is claiming now, he's not even worried about this curse. It's over. But this, I mean, to me, this is a huge difference between these teams. The Titans have the better quarterback. Obviously, that has very rarely been the case since these two became divisional rivals in 2002. And this is the 3rd sweep of the Colts since then.
Is that read option that Tannehill keeps it on the most unstoppable play in football? I don't know that I've ever seen it not work.
I mean, the way people crash on Henry, I think there's a lot of stuff you can do off that. But, yeah, I can't recall. They don't do it a lot. And obviously, if you do it more, then at some point, maybe teams adjust a little bit. But when you use it as sparingly as they do, I haven't seen it not work.
Ryan Tannehill's got some wheels, man. That's what we've learned.
I mean, that was the only good play they had against the Packers last year, right?
There's that. We'll continue the conversation on the Titans when we come back. Take more of your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Get into this 3-game stretch for the Titans. How long has it been since the Titans have had a stretch as impressive as the last 3 games? We'll get to that coming up next. Join Stars for this year's Cherish the Night Unplugged event this Wednesday at Marathon Music Works. This year's lineup is incredible, featuring Gordon Kennedy, Charles Eston, and Danny Flowers, with a special presentation of the Troy Gentry Compassion Award to the Young Fables. To learn more and to register, go to starsnashville.org. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Tuesday night.
Johansson shoots and scores.
Ryan Johansson, and the Predators are up 3-0.
Ryan Johansson and the Nashville Predators kick off their road trip north of the border against the Calgary Flames. Pre-game at 7, face-off at 8.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Discover matches all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year. Automatically. Discover. Something brighter. Learn more at discover.com/match.
Are you having Thanksgiving at your house but have no furniture and have no clue where to go? Well, Social Furniture is here to help you get your home ready for hosting your family's Thanksgiving dinner with their great dining room sets. Social Furniture is locally owned and save up to 70% on all furniture that will have your family begging to stay. They have sofas, sectionals with chase lounge, and recliners that are all push-button, electric, and wall away. They have all colors to choose from, and for your comfort, all of them are plus leather, microfiber, and Chanel's. Let Social Furniture help you celebrate your Thanksgiving with hundreds of furniture to choose from and save up to 70%. There's no waiting, and take home your new holiday furniture today or with their same-day fine furniture delivery. That's right, Social Furniture has same-day delivery with no down payments and no interest. Visit Social Furniture in West Nashville at 5412 Charlotte Avenue. Forget the big box store. Support local. Support social. On the web at mysocialfurniture.com.
With Fundbox, you can stop waiting and start doing. If your small business needs funds to grow, the time is now. Fundbox offers fast, easy access to small business funding up to $150,000. So hire that new employee, launch that campaign, buy that piece of equipment. Apply in minutes at fundbox.com, and you could get funding as soon as the next business day. Fundbox. Ready, set, grow. Credit line amounts, rates, and terms are based on creditworthiness and subject to change. Additional documentation may be required.
Hey, it's Jared Stillman. Guys, are you tired of feeling old? You know that feeling. You don't have any energy. You're gaining pounds. Well, guess what? My friends at Invigorate Health are the ones to help you. They don't just focus on one area of the aging body. They take care of all of it with so many different therapies that can restore your vitality and are designed with you specifically in mind. So give them a try. Invigorate Health if you want to feel young again. Out in Mount Juliet at 615-288-4777 or invigoratehealthtn.com.
Are you interested in starting your own business? Join the Blink Law Entrepreneur Summit on February 2nd for their one-day event to help anyone start a business. Not only will you hear from experienced entrepreneurs from a variety of fields, but all attendees will also get a one-on-one consultation with an attorney who will register your business. You will leave the event with certified documents and an officially registered business. This is a great opportunity for anyone who wants to jumpstart a new business. For more information and to register, go to facebook.com/BlinkLawLLC.
Signs First is the official sign company for 1025 The Game. Go to sfnash.com.
The 1025 The Game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Be a part of the conversation. Call or text the game at 615-737-1025.
Here they come, turn 4.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe. Every Saturday morning at 9, we hit the big topics. The Ally 400, Kyle Busch, frustrated, Big Machine Music City Grand Prix, and talk to the big names.
I'll go ahead and blame you.
Oh, I think it's big.
Could go a lot of different directions right now.
I was so impressed.
How cool that's going to be.
It's Chasing Checkers, Saturday morning at 9 on ESPN 1025 The Game and wherever you get your podcast.
Hey, this is John Hines, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 1025 The Game.
I definitely take a lot of blame for putting my team in that position, even going to overtime. Sitting on the sideline the whole time, just thinking about I had to redeem myself. It's not funny, but I was actually on the sideline, like preparing my speech, like if the game would have went the other way, but I definitely take that on my shoulders, but. That's the thing about this team. We're just resilient. We're going to keep swinging. And was able to make a big play at the end of the game, and we won the game. So Randy kicked a great kick, so I'm just happy that we won the game.
That was Kevin Byard, Titan safety, after the big win for the Titans against the Colts yesterday. Big interception by Kevin Byard in overtime. Joe Rexrode, I'm glad he pointed out, gave love to Randy Bullock. I was on the pregame show yesterday with Chris Sanders and Mark Howard, and one of the things we talked about, we got like an hour and 30 minutes into the show, and I was like, you guys realize that we've not talked about kicker one time? That's a nice deviation from the Titans the last couple of years. Randy Bullock, he's been great, man.
15 for 17, 21 for 22 on the PATs. Obviously, one of his misses was the potential he could get a nice tie. You could be 6-1-1 right now.
Oh, yeah. Watch out for those Jets. Just taking down AFC Giants all over the place.
Yeah, but he's been outstanding. I mean, I don't think that there's like Bob, our buddy Bob on Twitter was asking earlier about, the Wally pipping Sam Ficken. I don't know why you're considering moving on from this guy until he really gives you a strong reason to do so.
Yep.
So it's the winner was, and by the way, the winner it's probably a good thing that they went to the left hash on that, because he definitely pushed that a bit. I didn't have a ton of room to spare, but the 46-yarder to tie was big, clutch, and right down the middle. And I don't even know, like, I don't know, a couple weeks ago or a few weeks ago, whenever, at some point in this season, the Titans probably don't play it that way because they're not sure. They're not sure. And even in the last few years, depending on who the kicker was and what was going on, maybe like you have to be more aggressive, or you have to change how you look at a situation because you just don't know what you have at kicker. The way they played that was a team that's confident in its kicker, and that's a powerful thing. That's a good thing to have on your side.
So here they are, 3-0 in the last 3-game stretch here, taking down the Bills, the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Indianapolis Colts. And Joe Rexrode, I was sitting there last night trying to figure out when is the last time in the regular season that the Titans have had a stretch that's been this impressive. And I wanted to go back to 2017 because they did have a stretch in 2017 where they beat the Colts, the Browns, the Ravens, and the Bengals 4 games in a row, lost to Pittsburgh, and then turned around and beat the Colts and the Texans again to get to 8-4 on that season. Now, they did turn around right after that and lose to Arizona, San Francisco, and Los Angeles to get down to 8-7, where that set up the final game against Jacksonville on that very cold New Year's Eve night here in Nashville, Tennessee. But even that, I don't think was as impressive when you factor in the quality of opponent and the injury situation that this Titans team is dealing with. This 3-game run that they've been on is the most impressive regular season run I think they've been on in a long time.
Yeah, that stretch you're talking about, that's not even close to this in my mind. In fact, the funny thing about that time period, so like the Colts had Brissett at quarterback. They beat them on, I think it was Monday Night Football, right? I believe so. The Browns, those teams weren't really, none of them were all that great. Right. And a lot of really the discussion around those games was, what is wrong with this team's offense? After 2016, such a breakthrough year with the, what the heck did they call that? Exotic smash football.
Oh, yeah.
But Terry Robisky and that offense was really, for stretches in 16 was really excellent. And Mario, they had it all working. DeMarco Murray and Mariota and a little bit of Derrick Henry in there, and a little bit of Kendall Wright in there for you, some Rashard Matthews. But they had to come back and make, and Mariota, to his credit, was directing these drives, but it's like, why do you need to get to 17 points or 20 points to win a game? Why does it take? So I think there was more like complaining about the offense, and is this team really that good then? And then of course they, like you said, they went out west and didn't, terrible loss to Blaine Gabbert and the Cardinals. I mean, I guess you're probably right. That's probably the closest in the recent history of the team, but I mean, this has got to be the best 3-game stretch since
probably 08. I mean, they started 10-0 in 08.
Yeah, right. And they had the huge win against Pittsburgh, right? And I don't remember all the games around that, but yeah, I mean, if you have a great year like that, then there's some stretches in there that are really impressive. But okay, so you're going back again. It's like last year, win the division, first time since 08, home playoff game, first time since 08. Now you have this. I mean, there's a lot of things that they're doing now that you're having to look back and reach back and say, when did this happen most recently?
I just want to point out, I was really trying to give Marcus Mariota some love there in that last little bit there from 2017, and you just totally shot it down. So let the record show that was you, not me.
Now, wait, I said he made those. He did the drives. He made plays late. I remember the Bengals game, I think it was like a 4th down, like a throw to DeMarco Murray, like out of the backfield for a touchdown. I mean, I'm giving Mariota his credit, but like those offenses, that offense that year, and of course, as we know how it played out with Robisky and J-Rob and Malarkey, just wasn't pretty. But Marcus, You did a good job, buddy.
Yes, way to go.
Don't let Robby tell you otherwise.
I wasn't. He did a great job. So, obviously, this stretch continues. We talked going into this 4-game stretch. Hey, the Titans could go 2-2. That'd be pretty good, huh? And now here they sit 3-0 with an opportunity to have the sweep coming up on Sunday against LA. We've got a lot of time, obviously, to talk about the LA game coming up, but I want to go back to a point that was brought up earlier on the text line, and that is the coaching staff. What has this 3-game stretch told you about Mike Vrabel and this staff when it comes to the injuries they've dealt with and the quality of competition that they have won against and, quite frankly, at times have totally destroyed? I mean, they totally outcoached Andy Reid, especially in that Kansas City game. What has this stretch told you about this coaching staff?
Well, I think that we knew Mike Vrabel was a good head coach and I think that very early in his tenure here, I think he demonstrated that. And certainly he's had some late game decisions that didn't work out. And, it's never going to be perfect. But I think we knew he was a good coach. I think the question about Vrabel has been, is he too hung up on promoting internally as people he knows/trusts versus who's the best, fired head coach who could be Dan Quinn and come in and be my DC or OC, right? And look, I mean, at some point, those choices he's going to have more like them, and I don't think you can do it this way all the time. But I think what these weeks have demonstrated is that these coordinators seem to have an idea of what they're doing. Look, it's still about players making plays, but I thought that there was a lot of creativity from Shane Bowen. In particular, you look at how they did things like on 3rd downs against Kansas City, and that you have to have like a really good game plan. Those guys have issues and all that, but that's still the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and Andy Reid. You got to have a good. It's not just go out and make plays. You have to have a good game plan. They did, and I think Todd Downing has had some really good weeks. Yesterday may not have been his best, but he's had some terrific. And I think the Kansas City game was probably the showcase for both the coordinators. But overall, I'd say people should probably not worry about the coordinator hires and feel pretty good about them and feel like, look, if it went wrong, then it would absolutely be fair game to say, okay, Vrabel, you can't keep doing this. But this also, I think, demonstrates that he kind of had an idea of what he was doing. And we know when Arthur Smith was promoted, it was the same question. Like, why is the tight ends coach your new OC? And we know how that worked out.
Yeah, all those people expecting the mid-season coordinator changes, I don't think that's going to happen at this point. I don't think it was ever going to happen, but definitely not going to happen now.
But I'm sure at some point, Jim Schwartz must be in the film room with Shane Bowen, that little marionette. He's got him on a string. And
a little puppet master.
Yeah. Whenever they do well, then it's Schwartz. But when they were struggling on defense, then it wasn't Schwartz.
That's right. Join us in partnering with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's Light the Night. Light the Night brings light to the darkness of cancer through hope, research, and support for patients and their families. Through this inspirational nationwide movement, we raise awareness and funding for groundbreaking research and treatment options to eliminate cancer. Nashville's Light the Night will be virtual and take place this Thursday at 7 p.m. You can learn more at lightthenight.org/TN. When we come back, it is that time of the week, time for the Rex Rant. Joe Rexrode's Rant of the Week coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Cool start for us this morning under partly cloudy skies. Temperatures in the 30s and 40s on our way to highs in the low and middle 60s. Big cool down though midweek.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Hey. Nice tailgate setup.
Thanks. Dos Equis?
Sure.
Really hits the spot.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Well, I hope your team never wins as long as I'm alive.
Same to you.
dose of respect. Brought to you by Dos Equis, proud sponsor of college football. Get a dose. Enjoy Dos Equis responsibly. Copyright 2021. Imported by Cervezas Mexicanas, White Plains, New York.
Lift it, load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it, rig it, dig it, Craneworks, Rentalworks, yeah! The big dog's got it.
Craneworks is ready to help lift Nashville. As the Southeast's most trusted name in crane and equipment rental for over 30 years, Craneworks offers certified operators to make sure the job is done right. Rentalworks has a diverse fleet of equipment to assist in any project, big or small. From forklifts to carry deck cranes, they have it all. When it's time for your next lift, machinery moving, or rigging project, call Craneworks. Visit craneworks.com.
Performing at Schermerhorn Symphony Center this Sunday, November 7th, 1964, The Tribute, live. Tickets on sale now at NashvilleSymphony.org. Don't miss what Rolling Stone magazine calls the best Beatles tribute on earth. '64, The Tribute, live. Get your tickets now at NashvilleSymphony.org.
Hey, it's Jared for TriStar Moving. If you're looking to move, you need to give my friends at TriStar Moving a call. At TriStar Moving, you'll get 5-star service throughout the entire process. Everything will be taken care of, from covering your floors, banisters, railings, front door thresholds, furniture, TVs, and more. They took great care of my move and made it as stress-free as possible. If you're looking to move, give TriStar Moving a call, 615-640-1219, or visit them at NashvilleMoving.org/radio and get 5% off your entire move. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
Hey, Darren McFarland here, and let me tell you about my friends at Curacion CBD. If you're like me and have aches and pains all over your body and you've been searching for a solution, well, I've got it. It's Curacion CBD. Curacion means healing, and that right there says it all. Curacion is locally and organically sourced CBD products right here from Middle Tennessee. From seed to final sell, Curacion is passionate about providing quality products for everyday use for athletes and for pets too. Order yours now at CuracionCompany.com. Curacion CBD, curated for life.
Jared Stillman.
I cannot believe they picked this guy I've never heard of.
And company.
You're forced to play cap gymnastics, which makes it a little bit more difficult for picking up other guys.
Tune in Stillman and Company for your drive home. Delivered by TriStar Moving. Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Robby and Rexrode is on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The time is now for the Rex Rant.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
On Robby and Rexrode, here on ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
And it is that time of the week, time for the Rex Rant here on 102.5 The Game. Joe Rexrode's rant of the week as he passionately sings a little Kokomo coming back in for the break. Rexrode's favorite song today here on the program. Joe, I know this is how you wanted to start the week. Thank you, Michelle, for properly setting the tone.
I got you guys.
Good stuff. Enjoy it.
Beautiful. The absolute that and don't worry, be happy.
Yeah.
When you are getting ready for school in the morning, absolute misery. Like it makes the entire day becomes bad because you heard those songs. So very, very excellent intro music for this segment.
Well, I hope Gentry will have a nice ride home with you then.
I hope so too.
Well, actually today, it's a little bit different. I would call today, instead of a Rex rant, a Rex Volation.
Okay.
How about that?
All right. I like it.
So somewhere along the way this weekend, I saw like Taylor Lewan's, his weird thing that he said at the Friday presser. Of course, I couldn't be there. I was actually in East Lansing that day. He's like, I'm not going to say the F word, but Michigan State.
Yeah.
I think he said they're going to donkey them.
Yes.
They're the little brothers, he said.
Right. The little brother thing. Right. Which, yeah, that was fun back in the day when Mike Hart brought that up in 2007. But now I'm seeing all the trash talk that accompanies a rivalry football game, college football. Like if you, whether you like or hate Draymond Green, if you see his presser from the Golden State Warriors yesterday, my goodness, the trash talk is flowing. I saw Michigan State fans arguing this weekend, the dislike, the emotional stakes of a game like that, especially an in-state rivalry. like with two good programs, with people who are family members or who are always around each other. Like the stakes emotionally are like, it's incredibly high. But it's also why sports is great. I just had one of the best weekends of my life, really. Other than finding out how much out-of-state tuition is at my alma mater, but that's another issue. But I saw friends I hadn't seen in a year. Like, you're talking friends from day one in the dorms of the freshmen. We had a really good reunion from people and I got to see one of my kids just completely lose himself in a football game and do it the right way. Celebrating, hugging random Michigan State fans rather than focusing on the fans of the other team. And this is a parent moment Katie and I will never forget. One of the best stadium atmospheres, games I've ever seen. I never see them from the stands normally. That was special. And considering all the world has gone through in nearly 2 years, that was a moment for me, sports.
Yep.
Sports is amazing. You can still, in college football, you can look at all the money spent, the access, the facilities, like the resources and emotion, from adults that are put into a bunch of 18 to 22-year-old kids who beat each other up from an oblong pigskin. Okay. And you can step back and say, man, what is this? But what it is it's life memories and human connection, that you can't really manufacture. And that's, I think, why we ultimately love it. So I just want to say thank you, sports, today. And also, I look forward to Taylor Lewan's humble response this week.
Yes, I'm sure it'll be very humble on the response to what looked like an awesome game. I was at the Preds game on Saturday, and it was taking place, which, first off, shout out to Nick Barnowski of the Predators. I thought he was going to have a nervous breakdown throughout that entire game as that Michigan State was going on. But
oh, man.
Looked like an awesome game, an awesome environment to be a part of. And here we are yet again, Joe Rexrode. We've avoided this discussion all year long, but the Jim Harbaugh can't win a big game discussion has now come back up again and was in full force on Saturday night.
Yeah, and one of the key moments there was the freshman quarterback who's like the 5-star who goes in the game and fumbles, and Michigan State. That's the thing. Michigan should have won that game. Michigan was really better for most of the day, and it was this incredible comeback. But part of it was this freshman going in for his quarterback, Cade McNamara, who was having the game of his life. And then he fumbles the ball. But apparently the McNamara was banged up too. So, yes, all the Harbaugh stuff comes back. I guess, and believe me, after a game like that, the Michigan State fans hang out and talk. And some Michigan fans I know are upset, and he should never be 3-4 against Michigan State right now. Being winless against Ohio State, that's fine. That's a different level of they are head and shoulders really above any other program in terms of talent in that league. You can't be 3-4 against Michigan State, considering their stretch here with D'Antonio ending like that. That's unacceptable. But I would also say, if you're Michigan, who is definitely better than him? That's kind of the bind you're in. Who is definitely an upgrade over Jim Harbaugh? They have recruited well. They've still won a lot. They just haven't gotten to that next level. And then, they've got probably at least 1 or 2 more losses ahead of them, I think, too, because they're not that great. But the Harbaugh stuff, it's never going to end. I think that there's some reality about that program too that some people don't want to look at.
You mentioned the environment at the Michigan State-Michigan game, which looked awesome. I've seen some videos that have come out of there as well. Looked great. What about yesterday in Indy? Some talk yesterday that the stadium was not full and that the crowd wasn't all that great for Indianapolis. You were there. You were in person. What did you think of the environment in Indy yesterday?
Well, when it was 14-0, it was pretty good. Yes, there were definitely empty sections in the uppers for sure. There was actually a pretty strong Titans presence too. The Titans fans showed up in Indy, and I've seen that to some extent in the past as well. But you noticed their presence at times when the Titans made some plays. But when it was 14-0, when they had it going early and the Titans were on offense, they were making good noise. Considering that you're talking about a 3-4 football team, and in today's, the reality of filling a stadium or filling an arena, you got to be Like, you got to be pretty special to do that anymore. You know, I didn't think it was bad at all. Now moving forward, you know, you might see some pretty drab crowds here in this place. It's just amazing the Colts are 3-5, and then they still have the games that they have ahead of them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not pretty.
Joe, let's quickly go around college football over the weekend. This will probably be the one time today we've got a chance to do it, so let's go ahead and get it done. Georgia and Florida. Georgia, a 34-7 win against the Gators. That defense is just absolutely suffocating, and that was probably the last real chance, at least in my opinion, that Georgia has to go down before the SEC title game this year, and looks like Georgia's going to go undefeated in the regular season.
Yeah, I know that game was competitive, and then it wasn't. You know, it's not like it was just a complete domination from the start, but boy, 34-7. And speaking of, you know, fan bases unhappy with coaches, you know, that it doesn't take long. I think, especially in this league.
Yeah.
And Florida fans not super thrilled with Dan Mullen, which I understand.
I heard the term Butch Jones get thrown around when it came to Dan Mullen. What do you think of that?
Yeah, maybe a little bit much there. That might be a little bit much. But, yeah, they're the best team. I very much look forward to Alabama, Georgia. I mean, I think that's the best two. But man, they are something else. They are something special. That defense. It's one of the best we've seen in the last many years.
Ohio State takes down Penn State 33-24, the final in the Big Ten. So a big day in the Big Ten. You had Ohio State winning, Michigan State taking down the Wolverines. What do you think right now of the Big Ten, and has Ohio State gotten to the point, even with their early season loss to Oregon, where they are pretty clearly the best team in the Big Ten, in your opinion?
Yes, although I was impressed with Penn State. Penn State had a chance to win in that game, and I mean, Sean Clifford, you know, throws for 361 in that game. I mean, there were some big plays that swung that game, but I thought Penn State hung in with them. Play after play, Penn State has. I mean, honestly, I think that's probably the two most talented teams in the Big Ten. All due respect to Michigan and Michigan State, but yeah, Ohio State's the best team, and they're in position here to recover, you know, from the Oregon loss and be fine and get in. You know, the year that they won it under Urban Meyer, they lost an early one, a stunner at home to Virginia Tech, and recovered from that. We're fine. I think they're going to win it. I will say that they didn't look as overwhelming as I thought they might. And I still think that they're a flawed team. I still would put them a clear, you know, step behind like Alabama and maybe two behind Georgia, but we'll see. They've got a lot of guys, and CJ Stroud he's pretty good.
Very quickly in the SEC, Auburn takes down the Lane Train 31-20. They win against Ole Miss. Mississippi State takes down Kentucky 31-17. A win for the Bulldogs. Obviously, we've talked a little bit about the Mississippi State win. Auburn, to me, is a very confusing team. You don't know what exactly you're going to get out of them on a week-to-week basis, but a big win against Ole Miss on Saturday for the Tigers.
Yeah, well, like I said earlier, like why aren't we ever talking about like the job, you know, that Mike Leach is doing, you know, at Mississippi State? Maybe we should start noticing that. I mean, you look at Auburn. I mean, you know, going to Arkansas, which was the darling of the SEC, and taking it to them. Now this win, holding that team to 20. I mean, they lost a really hard-fought game at Penn State early in the year. They didn't look great at all times. Like the win at LSU was kind of ugly. You know, they got thumped by Georgia. But other than that, that's it. I'd say Brian Harsin has done pretty well. And how about that D coordinator, Derek Mason?
That's right.
You come out of a game like that with that offense and that quarterback, and you hold them to 20 points, you had a pretty good weekend.
Listen to the MLB postseason on ESPN 102.5 The Game and ESPN 94.9, brought to you by 312 Pizza Company. 312 Pizza Company in Germantown is home to the best pizza in Nashville. Head to 312 Pizza Company to grab a bite, a beer, and watch some October baseball. When we come back, we'll be joined by our good friend Corey Curtis from News 2 to talk Titans and Colts. We'll do that next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Take us wherever you may go.
There is going to be a whole lot of work going on.
Tune us in anywhere, anytime.
I think he has some big play in him.
Just search The Game Nashville in your app store and download today. And keep it locked on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
Is it time to fix your roof? Trust the roofers with integrity. E2 Roofing is a veteran-owned and operated local roofer that has built the reputation of delivering better service. E2 assists customers with roof repair and replacements through their insurance claim assistance, which has awarded them with 95-star Google ratings and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Find out if insurance will pay for your new roof with a free inspection at e2roofingnashville.com.
It's not just about being in your community, it's about being your community. Come experience the all-new state-of-the-art Volunteer State Bank, second Murfreesboro location at 2019 Memorial Boulevard. Volunteer State Bank offers personalized services like banking for professionals, free Kasasa checking, the convenience of mobile banking, and the money you need when you need it. Visit one of our 13 locations or online at ballstatebank.com. Real people, real solutions, right here. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Genesis Diamond's biggest and final sale of the year is here this weekend. It's an incredible event with savings of 20, 25, even up to 35% store-wide. Rings, earrings, pendants, bands, bracelets, nothing's held back for this once-a-year, 3-day extravaganza. Acclaimed designers are here with expanded collections and extraordinary pricing. Plus, get 0% interest financing. The final store-wide sale of the year with discounts up to 35% this Friday, Saturday, and yes, open Sunday for this great event. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. See store for details.
When Genesis Diamonds has a sale, you know it's the real deal, and it's happening this weekend. Our final store-wide sale of the year with deep discounts up to 35% off. This is the big one. The one where the staff knows they can break all the rules. Plus, the selection is nearly doubled with designers here from LA and New York with their entire collections, all of it on sale. This is the last and best jewelry buying opportunity of the year. Save up to 35%, zero interest financing. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. See store for details.
Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT-FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ HD2 Laverne, online at thegamenashville.com. We are
ESPN
102.5 The Game. Live. It's Robby and Rexrode with Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in. Hour number 3 of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Brought to you by Volunteer State Bank. Real people, real solutions right here. Remember, FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning in Nashville, Tennessee, reacting to a big Titans win against the Colts. And to help us do that, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our good friend Corey Curtis from News 2. Corey Curtis brought to you by Invigorate Health in Mount Juliet. Look and feel your best with IV therapy, medical weight loss, testosterone, health and wellness, and body shaping treatments. InvigorateHealthTN.com for more info. Corey, what's going on, brother? How we doing?
We are hanging in there. How are you guys doing today?
We are hanging in there as well. Appreciate you taking time to join us this morning. What'd you think of that one yesterday? Lots of wild storylines in that one for the Titans against the Colts. But, Corey, at the end of the day, they come out of there with a win in pretty awesome shape right now in the AFC South, and what an impressive 3-game stretch this has been for the Titans.
It really is, and there's obviously a lot of different avenues we can go down. I think, but my overwhelming sense from watching that game is the culture shift in this team in its ability to take a punch. I mean, in the past, we've seen 14-0 in going to Indianapolis, and it was going to be a very long day. That Jeffrey Simmons penalty in the past might have been enough to defeat this team. The Kevin Byard penalty late might have not been enough to defeat this team. They just keep playing. And, somebody steps up and makes a play. And I think that's what, my overwhelming sense of what impressed me most about this team is their ability to handle adversity and just keep moving forward.
Well, speaking of that Jeffrey Simmons play, Corey, I may as well give you an opportunity to gang up against me with Robby. Your assessment of that call.
Yeah, I didn't see your take. I know Paul also said, Kaharski, that he thought that was a penalty. Blow the whistle. These guys are coached to play to the whistle. I mean, it's on the officials. They let these guys fight forever, especially quarterbacks, and then you touch them, and suddenly it's a penalty. I mean, did the whistle blow right when he hit him? He had like 4 or 5 guys on him, and they're letting this go on. That's on the officials, all right? And I know you could say, well, he should be smarter than that. He's playing to the whistle. I have no problem with it whatsoever.
Thank you, Corey.
Okay. Well, okay, but here's the thing. I agree that you blow the whistle. The play was over. He was going backward. He was done. But but he launched himself into his back. You can't do that. And in the NFL today, that's going to get called. That was before the flag came out. I would have been shocked to not see a flag, considering the type of hit from a big
hit somebody
guy
in the back.
Wow.
In the field of play?
Yeah, like I don't understand where this is coming from. Like this is some egregious shot that Jeff Simmons had. He hit him in the back.
I don't understand how you guys don't watch the NFL.
You didn't go at his knees. You didn't go at his head. He went in his back. Yeah, look, cleaning the pile up, we see all the time, except it's usually offensive linemen, okay? And yesterday it was a defensive lineman. Again, my problem is not with the shot. It's with the officials eating the whistle in an absolutely ridiculous situation where he is 10 yards from a first down and has 5 guys wrapped up on him. Blow the play dead. Blow the play dead. Then call him for whatever you want.
I agree. And if Jeffrey Simmons comes in and grabs him with those guys, then it's fine. But all right, we can go around and around in this all day.
You're wrong. Just accept it.
All right,
that's a violent collision game. All right,
yep.
We see it all the time. It is a game of violent collisions. If you go up to grab somebody with 2 hands, what are the coaches going to say to you? Go up and hit that guy. It's not patty cake out there, guys.
Except that's how it's called.
I'm 1,000% with you, Corey.
It is not called. It is not called that way. You can't hit guys in the head. You can't hit guys in the head and neck, and you can't go low on quarterbacks, and you can't come in late, and you can't hit guys out of bounds. We know where you can and you can't hit guys. You can hit them. Guess what? The target zone is waist to chest, and he hit him right chest high in the back. Did he launch himself? Yep. Did he hit him with his helmet? No, he did not. He hit him with his shoulder pad, which is what they're asked to do. It is entirely on the officials, in my opinion, that he had to take that shot.
Well, Corey, let's take that to the next step. What did you think of Mike Vrabel's response in the postgame to that sequence and the officiating as a whole? Pretty vocal from Vrabel.
It was, and I think he's right. And I think, look, Michael Pittman doesn't deserve to take that shot. Michael Pittman, you could say, well, go down. The guys fight for yards. It's what they do. But, sometimes the officials need to protect them. And so he should be upset too. And Mike Vrabel was a player, and he also knows when players, including his players, are put in a bad situation. I mean, he said it. It's a player safety issue. And, we put a lot on these officials, but the number one thing we put on them is to protect these guys. And, that's where I thought that they failed. And, we were discussing whether he would be fined for it or not. And I'm like, did he say it was a bad call? Did he rip into him, or was it subjective? I don't know. Maybe he'll get fined. You don't have to be wrong to get fined. You can be right and still get fined.
Yes.
So maybe he will. But that's where I take his angst from. That is that that's going to get guys hurt. I have this all the time. I mean, there's a reason Andrew Luck isn't in the league anymore. All right, he fought forever. How many times did we see Andrew Luck with like a knee a quarter of an inch off the ground and 3 guys hanging on him fighting, and they don't blow the whistle, and he somehow gets the ball out of there for an incomplete pass? I mean, we saw that with the Carson Wentz pass to Pittman on that play. He's going down with people all over him, and they let it play on. These guys, they let it play on, and then guys end up getting hurt. And so I think that's the angst.
So, Corey, how important, because this team is very banged up, but now you've got an opportunity here. I mean, right now you are the 1 seed if you're the Titans. You have the best record in the AFC. How important is that? How important is that pursuit? Because the AFC South is like you'd have to really work hard to lose the AFC South at this point. But that one team that gets that extra week and then 2 home games, if they can win the first one, seems like an awfully important advantage.
There's still 9 weeks left in the season. I guess I'm just not ready to go there. Because the Bengals were the 1 seed a week ago. There's so much football left to be played. I think with 3, 4, 5 weeks left, maybe we can start pointing at that 1 seed. Are they in that position? Yeah, but they're not comfortably in that position. There's other teams right there. I already look at this Rams game and say, after winning 3 AFC games, is this going to be like the Saints game where he looks at Henry and Tannehill and Julio and just says, all right, all you guys sit this one out. We won all those AFC games. You guys are a mess. Let's get our team back together. Because they've got such a comfortable lead in the division, and really the soft part of the schedule is coming. And, just getting ready for that. Having said that, having that bye, especially in a 17-week season, it could be more valuable than ever before. And I think the schedule is going to afford them that opportunity. And I don't love the bye normally because I feel like teams go one of 2 ways off the bye. They're ultra prepared and rested, or they lose their momentum and they're flat. It's a flip of the coin. But with how banged up this team is, I think is your point, and I think you're right. Getting another week off to get to the big one wouldn't hurt.
Corey Curtis from News 2 on the line with us, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. A.J. Brown looking like A.J. Brown yesterday.
Yeah.
10 catches, 155 yards. Looks pretty healthy out there.
Yeah, I said it last week. I don't know if it was on your show or a different show. Derrick Henry's, without question, this team's MVP. But A.J. Brown is the guy who takes this offense from good to great, right? He is the guy who takes this from a good offense to an explosive offense that, hangs 34 on the board every week. We saw all those passes to the tight ends, and it was glorious and brilliant. But then A.J. touches the ball one time and goes 57 yards. He is a special player. I chuckled at his comments after the game where he said it was all Tannehill, and I was like, no. Tannehill's part of the equation, A.J., but nobody else is doing this, dude. Doesn't he have more 50-yard touchdowns in the last 3 years than anybody in the league, him and Henry or something?
Yeah, those are the top 2. Yeah.
Yeah, you're special. You're special. It's just that case. You're special. Now, having said that, I think the Titans offense may have to make some kind of paradigm switch here because the last 2 weeks we've seen the Chiefs and Colts just pack up the line of scrimmage to shut things down, right? And he's had 57 carries for 154 yards or something. He's averaging less than 3 yards a carry, and it's not on him. I counted 15 carries yesterday for 2 yards or less. 15. That's 15 times he's getting to the line or not getting to the line and getting whacked. I think that they're going to have to start loosening things up. They're going to have to start throwing more on early downs and getting teams out of these jammed up defensive formations because right now, and he doesn't quite look 100%. Teams are really starting to jam things up, and with AJ and hopefully get Julio back, they've got the guys that can win that situation. I think that they're going to have to start opening things up to loosen the defenses back up.
All right, I've got some breaking news we need to get to. And Corey, we'll get your thoughts on this as well. This coming from Adam Schefter from ESPN. It says, quote, Titans running back Derrick Henry suffered a potentially season-ending foot injury during Sunday's 34-31 win over Indianapolis. Sources reported to ESPN. Henry is undergoing an MRI today to determine the full extent of the damage. So obviously, Corey, that is about as big of a gut punch as you could get if you're a Titans fan.
Well, I just called him the MVP of the team. So, yeah. When I saw the foot, there's not a lot of good things that happen with feet, guys. You can have that the what do they call it, the fascia injury, or you can have the Liz Frank. The Liz Frank is bad. And so that's what you definitely don't want to hear, Liz Frank injury. But either way, you don't have Darrington Evans, and now you wouldn't have Derrick Henry, and you'd be on to Jeremy McNichols and Dontrell Hilliard. I'm going to guess they'd probably bring in Deontay Foreman. And it would be a massive, massive challenge to this football team. And, I think we'll get an up-close look and see how special Derrick Henry's been the last couple of years. And you just ask yourself, it's next man up, but you get to a point where the next man isn't the same, all right? I mean, these guys are special for a reason. What was he just voted? Number 4 in the NFL's top 100?
Yep.
They don't have another one of those on the roster. I remember when Mike Vrabel was just moved here as head coach, and, he was trying to get Corey Davis healthy. And he said to me, he said, at Ohio State, I got 5 more of him on the bench. It's not a big deal. He said, here, I got 1. All right? I got him. So I got to get him healthy. There's only one Derrick Henry, and it doesn't end your season, but yet another massive test to see if this team can keep moving forward.
Corey Curtis from News 2 has been our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. Joins us every week on Mondays at 8 o'clock. Corey, great stuff as always, man. Appreciate you taking time to join us.
All right. Well, I see you guys have something to talk about, so
I would say so.
Enjoy your morning.
I would say so.
Thank you. We appreciate you. Corey Curtis, brought to you by Invigorate Health in Mount Juliet. Look and feel your best with IV therapy, medical weight loss, testosterone, health and wellness, and body shaping treatments. InvigorateHealthTN.com for more info. You just heard it there. We'll come back and discuss it. The report from Adam Schefter that Derrick Henry's season may be over. What a blow for the Titans that would be. We'll get to that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The kick from Bullock is good, and the Tennessee Titans win a wild one.
The Titans eke out a statement victory on the road against the Colts in overtime.
It's a grind. There's guys that are banged up, beat up, but they find a way.
We're reacting all day.
If they can't run the ball, then that's where you increase the opportunity for your pass rush to matter.
On Nashville's best sports talk,
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Staples is evolving to Staples Connect, a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore what's new at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
Now's the time to get a great deal on Kubota construction equipment featuring durable Kubota engines, more comfort, more productivity, more get it done right. The Kubota construction lineup shows up ready to work every day. Right now, bring home select Kubota equipment for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 60 months. Now through December 31st. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for more details.
Hey, it's Jared from my official sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. This week marks the halfway point in the NFL season, and there is a big Sunday afternoon matchup between Green Bay and Kansas City, and FanDuel Sportsbook is going to make it even bigger because FanDuel is giving new customers 30-1 odds on either team to win. That means you can win $150 on a $5 bet. I saw Kansas City in person, and I will say this, I think Green Bay safely is the choice. FanDuel is sports betting made simple, and they're always hooking you up with great offers. Plus, when you win, according to FanDuel, you'll get paid in as little as 2 hours. Just see for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook and my official sportsbook app. Just sign up with the promo code JGM this week before Green Bay takes on Kansas City, and you could win $150 on a $5 bet. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. New users only. $10 first deposit required. Must wager in designated offer market. Max bonus $150. Credit expires 14 days after receipt. Bonus for Tennessee users fulfilled in site credit within 72 hours. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
312 Pizza Company is Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria, and they're now hiring. Work for a family-owned business and be a part of their incredible team. 312 Pizza Company is hiring for all positions, including host, waitstaff, bartenders, cooks, and more. 312 Pizza Company offers health insurance and paid time off to full-time employees. Contact Kimberly at 615-730-7888 or email at contact@312pizzaco.com. 312 is an equal opportunity employer.
Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey is the official whiskey of the NFL pregame broadcast on ESPN 1025 The Game. Screwball is the original and most awarded peanut butter whiskey in the world. Made with real whiskey, peanuts, and peanut butter, Screwball is all natural flavor to be enjoyed as a straight shot, in an espresso martini, peanut butter old fashioned, or a PB&J shot with a berry liqueur. Check out screwballwhiskey.com/recipes for more. Be sure and ask for Screwball by name at your favorite watering hole in Nashville.
Enjoy responsibly. 2021 Screwball Spirits LLC, San Diego, California. Whiskey with natural flavors, 35% alcohol by volume.
Hey, this is Jared, the owner of MTGRT.com. If your mortgage rate is not in the twos, then you need to call me now. We are locking in clients in the twos with no closing costs. That's right, you heard it right. Locking in clients in the twos with no closing costs. Text me on my personal cell at 615-969-2257 or fill out a few pieces of information on our website, MTGRT.com. MTGRT.com is the proud sponsor of Paul Feinbaum, heard on 1025 The Game and ESPN 94.9.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Robby and Rexrode on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
All right, I've got some breaking news we need to get to, and Corey, we'll get your thoughts on this as well. This coming from Adam Schefter from ESPN. It says, quote, Titans running back Derrick Henry suffered a potentially season-ending foot injury during Sunday's 34-31 win over Indianapolis. Sources reported to ESPN. Henry is undergoing an MRI today to determine the full extent of the damage. So obviously, that was while we were on with Corey Curtis in the last segment, the tweet coming out from Adam Schefter from ESPN. Derrick Henry suffering potentially a season-ending foot injury during the win for the Titans yesterday against the Colts. Henry, according to Schefter, undergoing an MRI today to determine the full extent of the damage. But my goodness, Joe Rexrode, you talk about something that you go from absolute elation if you're the Titans and you're a Titans fan of the 3-game stretch that you've been on. And essentially yesterday we thought at the time, wrapping up the AFC South against the Colts to maybe Derrick Henry being out for the season. That news is about as bad as it could get for the Titans today.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is important to, Schefter's reporting here that there's still MRI results to come.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, it's not like it's never happened before where there was a fear of something and then test results are more favorable than you feared. So, you got to keep an open mind on that. But it's also, this is a point where, if Schefter got the go-ahead from his source on this, that I think that probably tells you something. And I did not realize this. Zach Kiefer, who covers the Colts for us at The Athletic, tweeted out that Henry was on a card. I was trying to look around for Henry. Last night we were in the post game in that room forever, and Tannehill comes in very gingerly, but never spotted him. But it does make me think. I mean, you think about it, they were looking at that foot early, right?
Yep.
And you wonder, like, if he would have been just shut down there, is he in better shape now? I don't know. But he played a lot. He got a lot of carries, and we talked about it earlier in the show. He clearly wasn't himself. He still was, like, pretty effective at times. But you think, like, was he playing on a broken foot in this game?
I mean, he had, like you said, he was not himself. He still had some big moments. I mean, that 4th down run he had where there's contact in the backfield, essentially, and he finds his way to get across the line to gain. I mean, he had some big moments. As you said, 28 carries, 68 yards. And we talked about it earlier in the show. Obviously, whatever he was dealing with yesterday was significant enough that he did not address the media after the game. He was being treated after the game, and goodness, if he's out for the season, that's about as big of a blow as it gets to the Titans.
Yeah, look, I mean, I honestly, there's a trading deadline. You might want to quickly pivot to that for one. I do think that Mekhi Sargent could be part of an answer. I mean, it's also pretty amazing. Although maybe it's not amazing with Darren Evans because obviously he's been healthy very little of his young career. But that last week Of course, he gets put on IR, which means he's done for the season. It's the knee again, and now this happened. So you're looking at McNichols, and you're looking at I think Mekhi Sargent did have a nice camp. Is a guy who gives you some physicality at running back. As Corey said, Dante Foreman was a guy who last year was actually kind of a nice, not really change of pace, but really just like another bruiser that in a couple games actually was, he was pretty effective. So I think you're definitely going to see Sargent up, signed up the practice squad, got McNichols. You're going to have to go figure something else out. And then what does that mean? It's funny because I thought about a topic for us to discuss at some point. If you took this team and you took Derrick Henry off it, but you had everything else in place, or you took this team and you took Ryan Tannehill off it and had everything else in place, which of those teams has a better record? I still would argue that the team without Derrick Henry, but with the starting quarterback, probably is a little bit better than the team without Derrick Henry. But it's still your best player. It's an MVP candidate, and it completely changes your offense. I mean, it completely changes how other defenses look at you if he's done for the year.
Well, as you said, I think it's important to probably wait for confirmation on this in terms of whether or not he's actually going to be out for the season. Obviously, we'll have all of our eyes and attention pointed toward that today to see if there's an update from the Titans at some point. But I think it's pretty safe to say at this point, if it's not out for the season, it is at least a pretty significant injury for Derrick Henry at this point. And it goes back to yesterday. He's hurt early in the game. I think your question that you bring up is a good one. Was it that significant of an injury at the time and he just played through it, or did it get worse as that game went on? I mean, that would be something. Obviously, I don't know if we're ever going to figure the details of that out, but that would be something, if I'm a Titans fan, I'd really want to know from that game yesterday.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I also agree that probably aren't going to get clear answers on that, but we'll see. Zach Kiefer, as I said, he tweeted about Henry being on a card. He said this changes the AFC South race. And frankly, I guess I'd be willing to crack open the door on the Colts getting back into this. Although they still have to do a lot of work against a lot of good teams. But I think the door is cracked now. I wouldn't just say, this sucker's over now. If Henry's gone, like you said, is it possible that it's not as bad and he can come back at some point? Then that changes things. But if it's any kind of a fracture in that foot, that's it. I mean, he's done for the year.
Taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Your reaction to the Adam Schefter report that Derrick Henry, he may be done for the season. Taking your thoughts, 615-737-1025. We'll continue that discussion when we come back. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game.
This is Mikhail Kraland, and this is Nashville.
Rebound shoveled in by Mikhail Granlund, and the Predators have tied it up on the power play.
This is the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network. ESPN 1025, The Game.
Tune in to ESPN 1025 The Game every Tuesday afternoon at 4:30 for ESPN's Trevor Maddich joining me, Jared Stillman, on Stillman & Company as we dive deep into the college football world and all the latest from the SEC. It's all brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters.
The Parker Store at 1909 Nolensville Road in Nashville is the Parker Factory Authorized Store for your Parker hydraulic, pneumatic, water, and chemical hose needs. They stock metric tubing and hose connections to 42 millimeters in size, and they'll fabricate while you wait up to 6,000 PSI hydraulic hoses in a 2-inch size. Call the Parker Store at 615-248-8245 for all the Parker requirements you have. The Parker Store, 1909 Nolensville Road.
Yo, this is Justin from Music City Vintage, here to provide you with all your vintage apparel and shoe needs. We've partnered with 102.5 The Game to provide you all with an exclusive discount today. Come to our shop today, located in East Nashville at 2503 Gallatin Avenue, and say The Game at checkout and get 10% off your entire order. If you're unable to make it in, we got something for you as well. All of our products in store are also available on our website at musiccityvtg.com. Just use promo code GAME at checkout and get 10% off your order.
Christmas shopping starts now at Electronic Express. Get huge savings on the hottest gifts with up to 50% off in every department. 4K TVs, computers and gaming, smart home, housewares, and more. That's not all. Get up to 50% off all your appliance needs in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, buy now, pay later with up to 36 months free financing. We've got what you need this Christmas at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Bill Burr, Slight Return.
If I've learned anything in 5 years of being married is we're always working on me.
From his Netflix specials and F is for Family, Bill Burr, Slight Return. Friday, April 22nd, Bridgestone Arena.
Evidently, my wife is this completed work under museum glass that is to be admired and studied. And I'm like one of these guys, you know those buildings that just has scaffolding around it for like 6 straight years?
Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Bill Burr, live.
ESPN's Turon Davenport breaks down the Titans like no other.
On the field chemistry, I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's just going to be a process.
Catch TD Mondays at 11, Thursdays at 3, and Fridays at 8. Plus, the Talking with TD podcast drops every Wednesday.
When you draft players, it's not just for one season, it's for a career.
Presented by FreedomTireGuys.com, Nashville's premier mobile tire company, and Craneworks and Rentalworks, your source for crane and equipment rental. Visit Craneworks.com. Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, it's Max Kellerman, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Don't miss Nashville's best NFL pregame show live from Corner Pub in Brentwood this Sunday. The NFL pregame show features Jared Stillman, Mark Howard, and former Titans wide receiver Chris Sanders. Join them from 5 to 7 p.m. live at Corner Pub in Brentwood at 710 Old Hickory Boulevard prior to the Titans taking on the L.A. Rams. The NFL pregame show brought to you by TriStar Moving, Parliament Tractor and Equipment, FreedomTireGuys.com, FanDuel, E2 Roofing, Hillside Medical, Social Furniture, and Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming live on Twitch, on Twitter, and on YouTube today and every day. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. Robby and Rexrode brought to you by Volunteer State Bank, conveniently serving Middle Tennessee with 13 locations. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Reacting to some awful breaking news for the Titans. This coming from Adam Schefter from ESPN. Quote, Titans running back Derrick Henry suffered a potentially season-ending foot injury during Sunday's 34-31 win over Indianapolis. Sources reported to ESPN. Henry is undergoing an MRI today to determine the full extent of the damage. Joe Rexrode, Jared Stillman sent me a tweet from Jay Glazer, which says, hearing he broke the 5th metatarsal of his foot, but getting an MRI. So you talked about maybe a break of the foot in the last segment. If that's the case, that is not good news for Derrick Henry and the Titans.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, like the 5th metatarsal, you could possibly come back at some point a few months down the road. I mean, again, you're talking today is November 1st, so there's no few.
Right.
Could a couple months be possible? I don't know. And then if that's the case, let's say the Titans are able to get into the playoffs, able to still win the division, which I still think they have a chance to do, given the cushion they have right now. Like, is there a risk down the road at all for bringing him back, like for a playoff run? I mean, to me, if so, then you don't do it. I mean, the running back shelf life, well documented in this league, is very short, and so I don't think you mess around with that. And again, I do have the question of like what they thought happened yesterday, and then was it just like, it just seems obvious that like whatever he was dealing with early in the game is this, right? Yeah. Or led to this. So what was the diagnosis or thought at the time? And then what happened to get it to this?
Steve from the Borough on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. I am ready to cry with this news on Derrick Henry. I doubt Steve is alone when it comes to Titans fans out there with Derrick Henry. Ben texting in, what about trading for Marlon Mack? The Colts might feel bad for us. I can tell you that the Colts are not going to trade Marlon Mack to the Titans, would be my guess.
They will not, but honestly, that would be a perfect solution.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a very good player who just doesn't play, for that team. And he would actually fit in well with the Titans. But yes, you are absolutely correct. Hey, let's I know now we have the door open a little bit so we can try to get back in this division race, but let's make sure that we can't now by trading Marlon Mack to the Titans.
Matt from Memphis texting in, weird take here. I think the Titans will be perfectly fine. McNichols is decent, and to be honest, our passing game is what wins us games. That is quite the take.
That's a little bit. That take's got a little bit of smoke on it.
I can tell you this. Look, I'm not saying that the Titans are absolutely dead in the water without Derrick Henry and that they can't find a way to get in the playoffs and all that stuff. But this idea that they'll be perfectly fine without him, I think, is ridiculous. If you're talking about a guy that's in the MVP race, there's no way to me he could be perfectly fine without Derrick Henry.
And I mean, if you don't think that the passing game owes a lot to Derrick Henry, I mean, when linebackers just completely vacate the middle of the field, when safeties are compelled to crash in there and add a body, there's a lot more space to throw the ball. Well, that goes away. That goes away unless you have a threat. I mean, you're gonna have to have balance. And again, I think that with A.J. Brown, with Julio Jones, let's say with more tight end involvement, you could still have a good offense. Your offensive line is healthy and plays well. If you could find a decent back, you could still have a productive, good offense. But, man, perfectly fine? No.
Adam Schefter coming out with another tweet says, with the news of Derrick Henry being out indefinitely, running backs that might be available via trade due to depth chart or team standing, and he lists off Tevin Coleman, David Johnson or Phillip Lindsay, Tyson Williams, Melvin Gordon, Ronald Jones, Mike Davis, and Rashad Penny. None of those guys are Derrick Henry.
No, some good players in there for sure. And this is interesting too, just philosophically. We've talked so much accurately about how this is a go for it year, right? And they get these 3 straight wins. They are in this position now to really go for it. And it looks like this could be a team that could develop into what they hope they could be. So is it still a go for it year if this is the case? Is it to the point where you mortgage some future to get as quality a running back as you could possibly find because you like how the defense is coming on, the pass rush is coming on, Fulton's going to be coming back, Brown, do you look at it that way, or do you just you hope to hang in there and make the playoffs and bring as much of the band back together in 22 as you can?
I got a texter that says, I feel sick. I'm a receptionist, and I can't answer the phone right now, trying to hold back these tears. Yeah, I get you. This is a tough blow. So as Kyle on the text line points out, the only good news about this is it is before the deadline, which is tomorrow in the NFL. So if you're John Robinson, I think the question you just asked is a great one. Do you still go for it? I mean, you are 6-2. Right now, you're the number 1 seed in the AFC. And let's just say you get through the end of the day and the MRIs confirm what your fear is and that Derrick Henry is going to be out maybe for the whole season, but at least for a long while here. Do you still go for it if you're John Robinson and the Titans? What's out there at the running back position? Because I would agree, I think had Derrick Henry come out of that game healthy, you're approaching the trading deadline if you're John Robinson to me, and you might be shopping around for a corner, or you might be looking to maybe bolster your tight end room or something to that effect. If Derrick Henry's going to be out, you have to go get a running back if you're going for it. You can't just roll. No disrespect to Jeremy McNichols and Mekhi Sargent, but to me, you can't just roll with those 2 guys and expect that you're going to have production in the running game. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, and McNichols, I think, hey, the guy deserves a lot of credit. He's been a terrific third down back for them. That's what he'll continue to be. But you got to have you're not gonna have a 20 carry or 15 carry or 9 carry game for Jeremy McNichols, right? Like you got to have. I mean, to me, right now at this moment, Mekhi Sargent to me is the most likely guy to come in and get carries and be the running game running back. But yeah, you need to do better than that. I do think, depending on what kind of shape he's in and stuff, like D'Onta Foreman, I thought you saw some good stuff from him last year in this offense, outside zone. He had some nice cutbacks and power runs out of that. I think that's a real consideration. But I agree that at least timing wise, the Titans can at least react to this. I am going to talk about a Jared Stillman tweet here, which is interesting. He said Javon Kearse broke the 5th metatarsal week 1 of the 02 season, missed 13 weeks. So if this is a 5th metatarsal, if that's accurate, if that's what the MRI shows, as Jared says, if Derek would be on that same schedule, he'd only be able to play in the Super Bowl, which is 14 weeks from now. Of course, again, that's one example from almost 20 years ago, and different people, different feet. I don't think that that's like the straight up always across the board timeline. I've seen some other people on Twitter say like you can be healed from a 5th metatarsal in a few weeks, but again, are you risking yourself long term at all by coming back a few weeks after something like this?
Let's go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Tim from Mount Juliet, who wants to weigh in. Tim, thanks for calling in to Robby and Rexrode.
Yeah, my question is, Joe, why are we having to learn from this from the national guys? Why aren't any of you local guys good enough at your jobs to have?
Like we lost Tim there.
Uh-oh.
Looks like Tim was about to berate the local media, Rexrode.
Tim getting after it. Well, that's a fair question. I mean, Adam Schefter and the Ian Rappaports and Adam Schefter break most of the news around the league, and that includes in every market if you follow it. There are definitely some beat writers who cover these teams who still break some stories like this here and there. Jim Wyatt definitely did that. I know here he was kind of one of the last ones of the local beat writers who got news like this first. But I mean, you got to understand, and all due respect to Schefter and Rapport, those guys work their butts off. They are news breakers. A lot of the news they get, they have agents who have this news who are their agents. In some cases, I'm not saying that GMs and things like that also aren't sources for them, but agents largely dictate the passing of information in this league. And that's why you also see Adrian Wojnarowski scoop every NBA beat writer on an everyday basis, or Shams for us at The Athletic, scoop every local NBA beat writer on stuff, because agents are very influential in how information is passed up. But that's a fair question. When you see a Schefter report that and no one locally got it first, it's also absolute reality these days. If you pay close attention to sports media, the national newsbreakers get 98% of the big news about teams, something like that. 99.5. It's up there.
Let's go back to the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Adam in Portland texting in. I just want to puke. I'm so upset. What do you do now? The whole offense runs through him. Oh my crap! What a crap way to start the week. Get better, King. This is devastating. There's a lot of sentiments like that on the text line right now. It's not a fun place on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm trying to think, like, for the Titans, in the Titans era, is there anything comparable to this? Jared brought up the Freak in 02 at the beginning of the year, very good team that was a Super Bowl contender going into the year. But I can't. I mean, you had like Mariota breaking his leg when the Titans were trying to win the AFC South late in the 2016 season.
This is
you
worse.
You had Mariota unable to play and then win an in game in 18. But yeah, you're talking about the number 1 seed in the AFC, the best player and possibly the best player in the NFL on that team, coming off 3 incredible wins, sky high, and then this drops.
Yeah, look, obviously we'll wait and see what happens in terms of what the MRI looks like and the report that comes out, and we'll see. Maybe it's not as bad as people thought, but if it's what Adam Schefter suggests that maybe it could be, and this takes Derrick Henry out for the season, obviously, your heart goes out to Derrick Henry, and this would be a really tough situation for him. It's also just a shame for, I think, the average NFL football fan of this guy was in the midst of doing something that maybe nobody in the history of the game's ever done, and that is going maybe back-to-back 2,000 yards. And if it ends this way, other than just the person that you feel really bad for, what this could have meant for the history of the game is a gut punch right along with it.
Yeah, no, listen, you're absolutely right. I mean, you think about we've talked so much about Derrick Henry's place in NFL history and about that short period of time at that position in particular, but in any position in this league, to be great and basically to survive it and not have a major injury. And he's never had one. He's never had one, I don't think, at any level of football. And now this. You're talking about a guy who was possibly going to get the second straight 2,000-yard season, all that stuff, like locking up Canton here in a stretch that was unlike, or maybe was going to be unlike any we'd ever seen. And now that's just put on pause at least.
We'll continue the discussion on the breaking news surrounding Derrick Henry potentially out for the rest of the season when we come back. Take your thoughts on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Go to theGameNashville.com/deals to check out Nashville's best deals. The new deal this week is a $30 gift card for only $15 to 312 Pizza Company in Germantown. 312 Pizza Company serves the best pizza in town, as well as Chicago-style eats like Chicago dogs, Italian beef sandwiches, and more. Get your deals now at theGameNashville.com/deals. This is Robby and Rexrode. You're on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Celebrate Thanksgiving with Social Furniture and save up to 70% off all furniture. They have sofas, sectionals with chase lounge, and recliners that are all push-button electric and wall away. They have all colors to choose from for your comfort watching any hockey game. All of them are plus leather, microfiber, and Chanel's. They have same-day delivery with no down payments and no interest. Forget the big box store. Support local. Support social. Social Furniture is a proud supporter of your Nashville Predators.
Genesis Diamond's biggest and final sale of the year is here this weekend. It's an incredible event with savings of 20, 25, even up to 35% store-wide. Rings, earrings, pendants, bands, bracelets, nothing's held back for this once-a-year 3-day extravaganza. Acclaimed designers are here with expanded collections and extraordinary pricing. Plus, get 0% interest financing. The final store-wide sale of the year with discounts up to 35% this Friday, Saturday, and yes, open Sunday for this great event. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. See store for details.
When Genesis Diamonds has a sale, you know it's the real deal, and it's happening this weekend. Our final store-wide sale of the year with deep discounts up to 35% off. This is the big one. The one where the staff knows they can break all the rules. Plus, the selection is nearly doubled with designers here from LA and New York with their entire collections, all of it on sale. This is the last and best jewelry buying opportunity of the year. Save up to 35%, zero interest financing. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. See store for details.
It's football season, and Spring Hill Heating and Cooling is here to serve you. Right now, they're running a tune-up special for one system for only $55. You heard that right. A great tune-up special for only $55. One of the many ways you can save at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. You get 6 months no-interest financing available on repairs. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, locally owned and operated, offering premium service without the premium price. Visit springhillac.com or call them at 615-778-8855.
Parman Tractor and Equipment is your one-stop tractor and equipment solution and Middle Tennessee's Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer. No matter how you're getting there, start with Parman Tractor and Equipment. Rent or purchase a track loader, mini excavator, large excavators for your job site, or something in between. Their service and parts team will get your work site up and running in no time. Parman Tractor and Equipment will come to you for service if needed. Visit ParmanTractor.com for more info. Your Middle Tennessee Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer, providing totally outrageous customer service.
312 Pizza Company is the official sponsor and location of Southeastern Carolines with Caroline Fenton.
Since being the first to make wiper blades over a century ago, Trico has protected drivers in any weather. We're always looking ahead, studying your specific driving conditions so you'll be ready for anything. Like, if it actually rains cats and dogs, you can handle every soggy Siamese and drenched Doberman. Your Trico wipers maintain maximum windshield contact for safe, clear driving visibility, whatever the weather. Trico, the future of wipers since 1917. Visit TricoCatsAndDogs.com.
Darren McFarland.
And a mulligan that we all look for in golf. Lord knows our game could use it.
Willie Donick.
Outworked and outperformed a lot of other really good players.
Chase McCabe.
I want some sort of trade protection.
Darren, Donick, and Chase have you covered weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Curacion CBD on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is Robby and Rexrode on ESPN 1025 The Game.
This Friday, it's your chance to participate in the Nashville SC Pick to Click, brought to you by Camarena Tequila. If you guess correctly which player scores a goal in the game this Sunday, you win a Nashville SC prize pack. Participate Friday morning at 9:45. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, here on ESPN 1025 The Game, streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube today and every day. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. Robby and Rexrode brought to you by Volunteer State Bank. Visit volstatebank.com to learn more about their free Kasasa checking account. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Reacting to the breaking news on Derrick Henry. The original report coming from Adam Schefter from ESPN saying that Henry could potentially be out for the remainder of the season with a season-ending foot injury that he suffered yesterday against the Colts. Henry undergoing an MRI today to determine the full extent of the damage. Jay Glazer reporting that he heard it was the break of the 5th metatarsal for Derrick Henry. So obviously that is an absolute gut punch. It's amazing, Joe. We began the show today talking about a big win for the Titans. You've gone through this stretch where you're 3-0 against the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Colts, and you're feeling great about yourself. You're the number 1 seed right now in the AFC, and then this news on Derrick Henry comes out, and I think obviously we'll still wait and see what happens and see what the MRI tells us, but this is a pretty dramatic shift in feelings from what Titans fans were feeling at the end of that game yesterday against the Colts.
Yeah, I mean, gut punch doesn't do it justice, without question. And it's going to be an interesting, presser. Again, Kenston on Twitter is saying, like, don't speculate. I mean, I tweeted the question of, like, did that take it to something worse playing through it again? Like, I would agree. Obviously, if the foot was broken early in the game, right, then they would have noticed that, and he would have been done, right? So if whatever injury this is happened to the full extent early in the game, it would have been done playing. But you do with feet, you have things like the stress reaction, which becomes the stress fracture, for example. That's a different part of the foot, but it's one of those things where if you have a stress reaction, you can, and this is a basketball injury for sure. You see this all the time in basketball. If you have a stress reaction, you can, sometimes it's just going to become a stress fracture, but sometimes you can rest for a while, not have to have any surgery or anything like that, and it will heal. It will be okay. So it's just weird that he's obviously hurt something on the foot, and then he plays the rest of the game, and then you have this. I mean, that begs the question of what exactly was the diagnosis at that moment, and did he turn it from whatever it was into this during the game? I mean, it's a fair question to ask.
Schefter also reporting that the concern on the Titans running back Derrick Henry is a Jones fracture that would require surgery and end his season, per source. A Jones fracture is a type of fracture involving the 5th metatarsal bone of the foot. So multiple sources now reporting that the 5th metatarsal of the foot is the concerned and feared area for Derrick Henry. Man, this is a gut punch for the Titans if that's the case. I guess the question is, how does this change your outlook for this Titans team if he's out? Like, if Derrick Henry is going to be out for the season, and again, we'll wait and see what happens on that front, but if he is, what does this mean for this group? They're 6-2. They're in first place in the AFC South. Right now, they're the number 1 seed in the AFC. How much does not having Derrick Henry change the picture of what this team can be? I mean, the obvious answer is a lot, but what sort of a threat are the Titans in the AFC without Derrick Henry? That's going to be something that, unfortunately, the Titans might have to find out here.
Yeah, I mean, just texting back and forth with Kyle Tucker, a teammate at The Athletic, and it's like, look, if you go through the Titans' schedule, like to me, 10-7 probably wins the division, right?
Yeah.
I mean, are the Colts going to go 11-6? Are the Colts going to go 8-1? I mean, honestly,
I'm going to doubt
it. I mean, honestly, I think you can probably think 9-8 wins the division. So that would be 3-6. The Titans' schedule includes the Texans at home, the Jaguars at home, the Texans on the road. There's 3. I still feel pretty good about this team getting, and I understand you totally change what your offense is when you take Derrick Henry out. But still, I feel pretty good that the Titans would win those games. Games like at the Patriots, at the Steelers versus the Saints, those games that looked like you'd be like Titans would be favored. Maybe they look different now, and certainly tougher. You also still have the Niners, who are really having a rough season, and the Dolphins, who are a disaster, both of them coming to Nashville. So I still think the Titans are actually, when you go through it like that and then go look at the Colts schedule, I think the Titans 3-6, 4-5, you feel pretty good about that happening and then winning the division. I understand what Titans fan wants to hear that right now. It's the moments after this bombshell without the full story yet. But it's moments after basically trying to come to terms with the fact that, or the possibility that Derrick Henry doesn't play again until 2022. But they have opened this lead up that should get them into the postseason.
Jared Stillman & Company, going to have ESPN injury expert Stefania Bell on later today at 3 o'clock. So make sure you're tuned in for that. In the meantime, everybody on Twitter is now playing doctor at the moment, which is what you get into with stuff like this. Now, Ian Rappaport did go.
I just played doctor.
Well, that's what happens. Ian Rappaport did go into he was on Good Morning Football and talked about Derrick Henry and the Jones fracture, of what that could mean. And Ian Rappaport says, quote, "That's roughly an 8-week recovery. It would mean Derrick Henry could be back in January and for the playoffs if they make them, if you're the Titans." So, again, there's all sorts of different timelines floating out there right now. We'll wait to see what actually happens on that front. But, as a couple people on the text lines have pointed out as well, it's also Derrick Henry you're dealing with, and he's kind of a freak of nature. So I'm really interested to see what this MRI shows today.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing you can certainly say about Derrick Henry, we talk about his durability all the time. I mean, he had that hamstring thing a couple of years ago, sits 1 week, and all of a sudden he goes on one of the greatest runs a running back has ever been on, for the couple of games, in particular in the playoffs, and clincher at Houston. So he has been a tremendous healer and a tremendously healthy guy. Does that matter when it comes to like foot bones? I don't know. I feel like the fast healer thing is maybe a little bit more relevant to soft tissue injuries. Some guys just some of those things don't bother them as much as they do other people.
Yeah.
I don't know if it really translates to foot bones. And I could try to play more Twitter doctor here. Probably will.
I'm enjoying it.
But, yeah, but I do. I mean, I have information. Look, I've covered a ton of stress reaction, stress fracture. And those are those, like, it's like, if you catch it and figure it out early enough, don't make it worse. I don't know if that would apply to like a broken metatarsal. It's just obviously weird if the foot's bothering him. And then ultimately at the end of this crazy day of work, getting pounded 28 carries, he has a broken, which like, did he play on a broken metatarsal? If that's the case, it's actually one of the most incredible games ever by a player in the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty incredible to think about. I'll say this. If it's what is feared and this is the worst case scenario for the Titans and he's out for maybe the season, it's pretty important to get Julio Jones back and healthy. Like, Julio Jones at one point, I think is a luxury in this offense when you do have Derrick Henry healthy and you have A.J. Brown healthy. A healthy Julio Jones without Derrick Henry then becomes a necessity in this offense. So that's very important to watch as the Titans move forward here.
Well, and point made to me real fast here, which we could talk later. I mean, it's moot now, but would the Titans be better off Derrick Henry out if they had Corey Davis and Jonnu Smith right now rather than Julio, who is struggling through his own stuff? Of course, that's not the case. So he was already important for them to really reach their ceiling and really be a contender. But I think, if you did have Julio and A.J. Brown together for a stretch of time, the pass game could flip things around and help the run game.
Coming up next, we'll continue the conversation on Derrick Henry with our very own Darren McFarland from Darren, Donick, and Chase. Also get to the Predators, a big win for them over the weekend as well. All that ahead. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Your speaker at home is so smart that even Alexa knows where to find Nashville's best sports talk.
102.5 The Game is Nashville's best sports talk.
Ask Alexa to enable 102.5 The Game. Once enabled, ask Alexa to play 102.5 The Game.
Welcome to 102.5 The Game.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
A breather for Vanderbilt. This is the Commodore Report. I'm Kevin Ingram. After 9 games and as many Saturdays, Vanderbilt football now has an open week following a tough 37-28 loss to Missouri. The Tigers drove for a quick touchdown to close it out after a Mike Wright to Cam Johnson TD to cut the margin to 2 with just over 3 minutes to play. Wright rushed for 152 yards, passed for 122 and 3 touchdowns. Says the game plan was to establish the run.
I'm just proud that we were able to, just figure out the game plan, work through adversity, and I'm just proud of the way we finished. We have a phrase, we're never out to fight, Vanderbilt's never out to fight, and so I'm just proud of our guys.
Big day rushing for freshman back Patrick Smith as well. 17 carries for 95 yards and a score. Cam Johnson put up 2 touchdowns on the day. The team will practice a couple days this week, then have the weekend off before starting the final 3-game stretch against Kentucky on November 13th. Heartbreaker for Vanderbilt soccer in their SEC tournament opener. Vandy lost to Florida on penalty kicks after the match was 1-1 through 2 overtimes. Commodores were less than 2 minutes away from advancing, but the Gators scored in the 89th to tie the game after Maddie Elwell gave Vandy the lead with a run and a blast in the 72nd minute. Commodores return home at 8-8-3. Vanderbilt bowling got past Tulane and rallied to beat Youngstown State and won its weekend tournament up in New York. And as the calendar flips to November, we are just over a week out from basketball openers. You can get ticket info at VUCommodores.com. That's the Commodore Report on 102.5 The Game and ESPN 94.9.
It's not just about being in your community. It's about being your community. Come experience the all-new state-of-the-art Volunteer State Bank, second Murfreesboro location at 2019 Memorial Boulevard. Volunteer State Bank offers personalized services like banking for professionals, free Kasasa checking, the convenience of mobile banking, and the money you need when you need it. Visit one of our 13 locations or online at volstatebank.com. Real people, real solutions, right here. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
No one outfits golfers better than Edwin Watts Golf Shops. We've been fitting golfers since 1968. Utilizing cutting-edge fitting technology, we'll analyze your swing and our 4-sight launch monitors and fit you with the perfect club, pair of shoes, the latest golf apparel, golf balls, bags, and more. So come by today for your complete custom fitting. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day 100% satisfaction guarantee.
Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ HD2 Laverne, online at thegamenashville.com. We are
ESPN
102.5 The Game. Live. It's Robby and Rexrode with Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in. Final hour of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5. The Game brought to you by Volunteer State Bank. Real people, real solutions right here. Remember FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, and Michelle Knezvik here with you on this Monday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. As we do every Monday at 9 o'clock, we welcome in our good friend Darren McFarland, host of Darren, Donick, and Chase. Also handles the pre- and post-game duties for the Nashville Predators Radio Network to the program. Darren, what's going on? How we doing? Yep.
Happy November.
Happy November to you as well. Darren, I was really looking forward to having you on and discussing what was a big win for the Titans yesterday to go 3-0 in the stretch against the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Colts. And now it hurts to talk about the Titans, but we're going to do it anyway. Your reaction to the report of Derrick Henry from Adam Schefter potentially the key word, being lost for the season with a feared foot injury and some speculation on Twitter that maybe the fifth metatarsal bone of the foot is involved. Obviously, this is about as big of a gut punch as you could have if you're a Titans fan today.
This is not good. I'm just not even going to sugarcoat it. And, I'm not going to pretend like, oh, you could go. I heard the list of names you guys threw out there, and, that's fine. I mean, if you're asking me to choose one of those, if you could, I'd probably go for Ronald Jones. He seems to be falling out of favor in Tampa. Seems like I think that fumble maybe in his first possession of the first game of the season, I don't think he's recovered from that, or at least the coaching staff hasn't recovered from that. At least he's been there, done it. The rest of them, it's like, bleh. So, their bodies. They're warm body. And Melvin Gordon, I guess, would be next. It's like blah. You're comparing him to Derrick Henry. I mean, we've been sitting here beating an MVP drum all season long. And you think that whoever, any of those guys, they're going to come in and give them anywhere near the same production. I mean, the way I view Derrick Henry is the equivalent of an elite quarterback in the league. And when elite quarterbacks go down, i.e. Seattle, how does that work out? You don't recover from that. It doesn't matter. Yeah, Geno Smith, he's done a nice job, just like you'll bring in one of these running backs and they'll do a nice job. But how's Seattle's record looking? Is anybody talking about playoffs or, a good season for them until Russell Wilson comes back? No. I mean, you may be able to escape for a game like Dallas last night. Like, wow, Minnesota, thanks for playing. See you later.
Jeez.
I mean, you couldn't even beat Dallas without Dak Prescott at home on Sunday Night Football. Like, yeah, we'll see you in 2022. Good riddance. I mean, give me a break. But this just flat out sucks. I mean, you're not going to be able to replace Derrick Henry. He's the equivalent of a franchise quarterback in the league. And, they can go out there and bring in John Robinson, can make a trade. I mean, I'm the one who's been saying the Titans should trade for Marlon Mack. Well, that's not happening now. Indianapolis won't even answer the phone call. They're not going to trade you Marlon Mack, even if they think he offers nothing. It's just on principle. You just swept them. They're not going to trade you anything. They're going to be like, yeah, die on the vine. They don't care. So, I don't know. Do they have enough because of the lead? That's what stinks about all this, right, guys? I mean, they're 6-2. They're the number one team in the AFC. If it wasn't for this news, today would be a day of celebration, right? Everybody would be in a really, really good mood talking about this team. Like, this team is a real contender. And then this happens. It's like, couldn't you wait till Tuesday for this news? Thanks, Shefty. Thanks. Appreciate it. Like, give us a day to talk about it and talk about it yet again, another huge win, and it's going to be completely overshadowed by this.
Can you think of anything else?
I'm done. Sorry.
I'm hearing everything you're saying, Darren. Can you think of anything else that would compare to this in the history of this franchise in Nashville?
Oh, boy. To this comparison, no. I mean, I can give you some examples, but they're not to this level. I mean, Derrick Henry, guys, Joe, we're talking about the greatest Titan of all time. And I never thought I would say that in my lifetime. I covered Eddie George and Steve McNair. I know their value to this franchise. I know what they meant. I know how good they were, and I never thought in my lifetime, I figured, eventually somebody's going to come down the path and, unseat them, and they'll be the greatest Titan of all time. I didn't think it would happen while I was still above ground and not worm food, and Derrick Henry is that guy. He's literally that guy. I'm here to say he's better than Eddie George, and I never thought I would say that in my lifetime, and he is. That's how important he is. I mean, Javon Kearse broke his foot, but, Javon Kearse, when was he his best? Tell me when a player was at their best. It wasn't his rookie season. That's when he was at his best. That's when he dominated the NFL. I mean, Albert Haynesworth had a moment where he dominated the NFL. He got suspended for 5 games. I guess you could count that. But, I mean, to this level, especially if all the reports are true, which these people like Jay Glazer and Adam Schefter, this just in. They don't miss that much because it's hard to miss when you're getting the info basically from the horse's mouth, which is, not necessarily Derrick Henry, but people that talk for Derrick Henry. So I believe all this is true. I believe it's probably, he's done for the season. So, no, Joe, something at this level that's happened to the Titans, no one that's ever been at the level of Derrick Henry, no.
Darren McFarland on with us here from Darren Donick and Chase, and Jay Glazer now reporting Derrick Henry broke the 5th metatarsal in his foot. The MRI will determine if surgery is needed or not and how long he will miss. So obviously a pretty important MRI coming up for Derrick Henry and the Titans. Darren, my question to you is, if this is the worst-case scenario and Derrick Henry is going to be out for either the entire season or there's a report from Ian Rappaport that he could miss 8 weeks and would be back for the playoffs, what do you make of this Titans team and their chances without Derrick Henry to get into the playoffs? And that sounds crazy. They're 6-2. They're the number 1 team in the AFC right now. But what do you make of their chances with this schedule moving forward without their best player?
I mean, I'll say this to you, Robbie. I mean, once again, because of what I said before, we would be sitting here celebrating and talking about the number 1 team in the AFC. We would be talking about the team to beat in the AFC are the Tennessee Titans. And we're not going to say that, even with this lead. And do I think that maybe they could limp down the finish line with this lead? The division stinks, okay? The Texans and the Jags are awful. They're one of the worst teams in the league. So you just eliminated half of your division, and that just leaves the Colts, and the Colts are below 500. Could you limp to the finish line? Yeah. But does anybody feel good about January football without Derrick Henry? I mean, if we're all being honest, I mean, do you still think even if this team gets in the playoffs, they're contenders? I don't know. You guys push back. You tell me. Make the case. Convince me. I don't see it.
I mean, if you're telling me that he's available for the playoffs, like there's a chance he can get back, then you can hold your head above water long enough. But if he's out the whole year, I mean, that's gonna be real tough.
For the sake of this discussion, let's say he's lost, like he's not coming back this season, no matter how long the run is. And does anybody really think that they're contenders without Derrick Henry?
No.
I mean, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean,
I just think
now
you're in the clouds if you believe that. I mean, good for you, but I just don't believe it.
I mean, the interesting thing is, too, and we just went through this, Dan, going through the games that they have ahead and, like, what the Colts have. Like, I think if they finish 3-6, they're going to win the division at 9-8. Because the Colts, I mean, the Colts schedule is still terrible ahead. And, the Titans have Texans twice and Jags once, not to mention the just moribund Dolphins coming in. So, like, I think they're still in very strong position to win the AFC South based on the work they've done here. But no, if Derrick Henry's done, it's going to be one and done in that tournament. You got a decent, improved defense, and yeah, you could have a really good passing game, but boy, will things change for that whole thing without 22 in the backfield.
Yeah, I'm with you. I wish I could paint a rosy picture, and I know maybe a lot of fans want a rosy picture painted. I don't believe it. I'm not going to say it if I don't believe it, and I believe exactly what you said. They may limp to the finish line and still be playing, playoff football because this division stinks, and they've got a huge lead. So they still could punch a ticket into the playoffs, but without Derrick Henry, you're asking me to go up again. And who knows what the rest of do the Chiefs get? Do they fix things and they turn into I don't know what the rest of the conference looks like at the end. I don't know. Maybe there's a lot of other big, humongous injuries that happen. I don't know. Maybe Josh Allen goes down. That's all possible. By the way, I watched Buffalo yesterday. They sleptwalked through their game against maybe they were just bored. But they didn't look like a juggernaut yesterday. They pulled away at the end. It's a team coming off their bye. I mean, and losing to the Titans, and it's like, that's what you got? So That's what's, terrible about all this is you just look around. The Chiefs are a mess. The Bills, well, I mean, they look good, but, they don't look good. We keep praising them, but I watched them yesterday. It was like
they were not good yesterday.
City. They were Yawn City for 3 quarters. Complete Yawn City. And then they woke up in the fourth. It's like, oh, I'm supposed to praise you as a juggernaut? It took you to the fourth quarter to wake up at home and finally put away the Miami Dolphins? Like, give me a break. But, going back to what I said, I can't sit here and say they're going to make a run without Derrick Henry. It's just I don't see it. I don't see it. Could they limp to the finish line? Yeah, but past that, I think, Joe, I think it's one and done, unfortunately.
Darren, last thing for you here. I do want to get your thoughts on the Predators. A big win over the weekend against the Islanders. Tanner Jeannot, a couple of goals, and they get it done in the shootout. What do you like about the way the Predators have kind of turned things around and got back to the 500 mark here early in the season?
That was a fun game, wasn't it?
It was.
That was a fun game. That felt like playoffs. That was a whole lot of fun. In fact, Alex Carrier came in to Patron Platinum Club for post-game, and he was just talking about it was like a playoff atmosphere, and it was a playoff. It's funny, Hal Gill had a great line in pregame. He said, we're sitting there laughing about matinee hockey and how much fun it is. He's like, yeah, have your eggs and have your bacon and then prepare to get punched in the face. And I was like, oh, that's Hal Gill being Hal Gill. Just a funny line, right? No, he wasn't kidding. Like, that was have some eggs, have some bacon for breakfast, and then get punched in the face because there were a whole lot of punches thrown in that game. And you know what I like about this team? This team punches back. I love that. The Islanders were punching them in the face, and this team punches back. And, what more is there to say? Like, at some point, we're going to stop. We're going to run out of stuff to praise Tanner Jeannot about, right? And as I said in postgame to Skilsey, like, at some point, Robby, you tell me if you disagree with this. Like, he's not stop typecasting him as a third or fourth line guy. He's not. If he keeps playing like this, he's going to be on he's going to be a top 6 guy, is he not?
He's been really good. He's been really good.
I don't know how much longer you're going to keep putting him on the third and fourth lines if he's going to keep producing like this. Tell me what you don't like about his game. Tell me what he's not worthy of being a top 6 guy.
I can't find anything for you.
Right. At some point, he's going to get pushed up there. They're on a nice little 3-game winning streak. 3 good wins, by the way. And now they go on a long road trip to start the month of November. I like the way this team is playing. Oh, by the way, we're not talking about a lousy power play. That's refreshing, right? Until Saturday, they had 5 power play goals in their last 3 games. Power play, I think they went into the Islanders game 3rd in the league with the man advantage. Like, that's refreshing. We're not sitting here talking about the worst power play unit in the league. And, oh, by the way, it looks different, and it's working. So I like the makeup of this team. I like where they are right now. They got off to a slow start. Seems like they've turned things around. It's still very, very early. But that was a nice win. Those 3 wins, nice wins. And now we'll see if they can carry that over as they start a new month and hit the road starting today.
Darren, we appreciate you taking time to join us this morning. Wish we had better circumstances to discuss with you, but alas, that is life as a Titans fan sometimes.
It is. We made it through, though. We did.
We did.
Plowed through.
Darren, looking forward to checking out the show coming up at 10 o'clock.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Darren
McFarland.
McFarland.
Still rules.
Yes. Darren McFarland from Darren Donica Chase, our guest every Monday at 9 o'clock. We'll come back. We'll react to what Darren had to say there. Continue to take your thoughts on Derrick Henry and the Titans on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025, The Game.
The kick from Bullock is good, and the Tennessee Titans win a wild one.
The Titans eke out a statement victory on the road against the Colts in overtime.
It's a grind. There's guys that are banged up, beat up, but they find a way.
We're reacting all day.
If they can't run the ball, then that's where you increase the opportunity for your pass rush to matter.
On Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Hillside Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? Well, we have a major medical breakthrough. The Wave technology at Hillside Medical Clinic was tested by Cambridge University and the Cleveland Clinic, and the results are in. It's proven to increase blood flow by repairing blood vessels. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED by treating the root cause, call us now. And not only will the assessment and blood flow ultrasound be free, we'll also include something unique that produces powerful results in the bedroom. I don't think I've ever seen it fail. This is a $600 value, free to those that call in the next 2 minutes. 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Hillside Medical Clinic now to qualify. 615-576-5000.
Listen up, sports bettors. This is Hall of Famer Warren Sapp here to tell you about my favorite sports book, BetUS.com. I only endorse one sports book, and that's BetUS.com. Just like me, BetUS is the Hall of Famer of online betting with more than 25 years in the biz. You need a sports book with integrity and longevity, and you need to know when you win, you're gonna get paid. You need a sportsbook that offers all the action to make every game feel like the playoffs. Call today at 1-800-69-BET-US. That's 1-800-MY-BET-US. And they will get you set up faster than I can run the 40. Nobody in the industry gives bigger bonuses than BetUS. I play at BetUS, and so should you. Now is your turn. Join now. Call today at 1-800-69-BET-US. That's 1-800-MY-BET-US. My favorite sports book, BetUS.com.
Up to 200% sign-up bonus. Support the station and use code GAME.
Tell them Sapp sent you.
Blood Assurance, the area's only nonprofit community blood center, announces the opening of their new blood center at 600A Fraser Drive in Cool Springs. Now Williamson County has a new, convenient, comfortable, state-of-the-art blood center for donors to give the gift of life. Blood Assurance centers are the only facilities in Middle Tennessee where all blood donated goes to help many of our area local hospitals. To view the center's hours and to make an appointment, visit bloodassurance.org/schedule. Give life, give blood, give local.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. You've noticed all the inventory shortages and empty shelves everywhere. Now there are serious shortages on equipment and products for your home. HVAC systems, tankless water heaters, and generators are going to be extremely limited in 2022. If you need a replacement, call our friends at Hiller today. Don't wait until you are out of options. Hiller has special financing available. Buy now and pay nothing until next year. Hiller's work is backed by the Happy You'll Be Your Services Free guarantee. Learn more at happyhiller.com.
Interact with Robby and Rexrode. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming live on Twitch, on Twitter, and on YouTube today and every day. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. Robby and Rexrode brought to you by Volunteer State Bank, conveniently serving Middle Tennessee with 13 locations. Member FDIC equal housing lender. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning, reacting to the breaking news with Derrick Henry and the Titans. Adam Schefter of ESPN originally reporting that Derrick Henry suffered a potentially season-ending foot injury during the win against the Colts yesterday. Henry undergoing an MRI today to determine the full extent of the damage. Joe, now Jay Glazer has reported it is a fifth metatarsal that has been broken by Derrick Henry, and the MRI determining how long the injury will take. Ian Rappaport saying if the MRI confirms the fracture, it's roughly an 8-week recovery and would mean Derrick Henry could be back in January for the playoffs. So different timetables that have been thrown out there. Honestly, like at this point, if you told me right now that Derrick Henry could be back by the time the playoffs come around, if I'm a Titans fan, I'm probably signing up for that given the way that this conversation was going earlier in the show.
Well, sure. I mean, if you could actually have full Derrick Henry who isn't jeopardizing himself by being out there.
Yep.
But I would also – I guess it's like when Schefter first came out with this, it's like you caution against – there's tests. Let's wait and see on that. I would also caution against, counting on or being too hopeful of Derrick Henry in the postseason. But look, this team is probably going to be in the postseason. They have done the work against by far the toughest part of the schedule in tandem with the Colts failing to be in position to win the division. And I honestly, this made me look at the two schedules and everything. Like, I probably underrated how over the division became yesterday. Like, I still left it a little bit cracked, but it was not. And it's still very unlikely the Colts are going to come back. So the Titans are going to be in the tournament, I believe. So if you're in the tournament at all, in fact, it means you win the division. You can be 9-8, win the division. You're going to get a home playoff game. If you could have Derrick Henry back, yeah, of course. I mean, that changes. I mean, unlike probably some positions, there's quite a few other positions, like quarterback, whatever. Like, there may be this like rustiness stage or something, right? Where it's like, I mean, you got to be like great right now. Well, I mean, if he's actually healthy, then you pick right up and give him the ball 30 times, and he probably carries your offense again. But again, how realistic is that? Lots of Twitter doctoring going on today. Mike Vrabel does talk at noon.
Yep.
Now, do we anticipate Mike Vrabel giving tons of details? I'm going to guess no, but it'd be nice. This is an opportunity, understanding how Vrabel is about injuries and players and things like that. This is also, this is like a fan base in mourning right now. I'd say some kind of detail, some kind of information to the fans would be great from Mike Vrabel today.
Well, look, we've talked about this with him a lot. I understand he doesn't like to talk about injuries. I got news for him. Today's press conference, that's all the discussion is going to be about today, is injury. So really interested to see how that goes. As you said, Mike Vrabel speaking today at noon here in Nashville. Let's go to the text line, get to your reaction, 615-737-1025. Our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Mike texting in. I agree it will be tougher, but if there is this little faith for Ryan and the rest of the offense, then we need a change. The weapons the Titans have this season should not be the end of our season if Henry is out.
Well, I don't think it's little faith. I mean, first of all, remember, one of these weapons that you're referring to has barely been able to play.
Yeah.
So, like, I like, if Julio Jones can be Julio Jones, and all of a sudden he's just like A.J. Brown has now come to where he's playing the whole game and he looks great. Well, if Julio Jones can do that, okay, that improves the outlook. I mean, Anthony Ferguson, I know a lot of people are just going to say it was all dumb from the start, but Anthony Ferguson was going to be a bigger part of the offense. Well, he clearly, the knee injury has hurt him. Can he be anything in there? Can Marcus Johnson get it going? I don't think it's hopeless. You also have to hope the offensive line stays healthy and plays better, but you have to go get a running back.
Yeah.
In the midst of doing the show, I'm writing stuff for The Athletic right now on
multitasking.
That. Yes, some multitasking. But, one of the questions I was asked by one of my editors, okay, what about possible trade names? And Darren brought up Ronald Jones. Benny Snell Jr., is that interesting? Obviously, Najee Harris is the guy there.
Yep.
Again, I think Marlon Mack would be perfect.
It's just not going to happen, but it would be perfect.
Right. But that guy should be running the football for somebody in this league. The Titans have, to me, clear trade pieces in Josh Reynolds. Is there a team out there with a back who could use like a 4? Even, Reynolds could be on some teams a 3, but like a 4, probably he's barely made any kind of impact with the Titans. And then Rashaan Evans. Monty Rice played pretty well yesterday. Jayon Brown should be back very soon. Does anyone out there have interest in Rashaan Evans? I guess, does anybody out there have interest in Jayon Brown?
Yeah.
Trade one of those guys in tandem with, a late round pick or something to try to get. There are some decent backs in this league who certainly could improve your outlook compared to what it is now. I like Mekhi Sargent a lot in the preseason, and I think he's going to be part of the potential solution here, and he's going to get promoted from the practice squad. But you got to go get someone who can play and has done it in the league. And if you can get someone decent, pretty good, who just has kind of lost footing in a particular team, and then you have all the other stuff go well for you on offense, you could still be a decent team. It's also can the defense get better than it is now? I think it's possible.
Well, look, going back to Mike's text, I'll answer it this way. I understand everybody. You're not one to totally freak out right now. And again, we need to hammer this home a few times. It is important to wait to see what the MRI says to determine exactly how long Derrick Henry is going to be out. But to me, you also can't have it both ways. You can't sit here and clamor for Derrick Henry to be an MVP conversation, and then when he's hurt say, oh, yeah, Titans will be fine without him. Like, either he's the MVP in conversation or he's not. Like, you can't just expect that he's MVP conversation and then you lose him and expect the Titans are just going to be okay without him. Like, I agree with you. I think they've done enough at this point, especially with the schedule that they've got coming up. If you go out and you trade for a running back, it's not going to be Derrick Henry, but just get a competent running back in there. This offense is still good enough to put up some points. This team is still good enough to win the division and get in the playoffs. If you think that they're a Super Bowl threat without Derrick Henry, I got news for you. They're just not. So you can't have it both ways. You can't clamor for Derrick Henry to be in the MVP conversation and then when he's out say, oh, yeah, Titans will be fine without him. It just that doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, forget the like the two-way thing. That's just stupid. On its own, that's just dumb. Yeah, I mean, they are built. That's the thing. Like, and Tannehill has been terrific. He has been, and he deserves more respect. He's got more on his shoulders now. But look, I mean, Tannehill and that passing game have benefited so much. Of course, they have so much from his presence, and the way teams play the Titans is just automatically a benefit to a passing game. I still think if you find a pretty good guy and all the other stuff comes together, a huge thing is Julio Jones being Julio Jones. You could still be an offense that scores a lot of points, but I just can't see it. I can't see a non-Derrick Henry Titans team sniffing the Super Bowl.
Dennis texting in, King Henry is built different. He doesn't need a fifth metatarsal. He's got 4 oothers. Could
there
be.
You go.
We'll see what happens.
There you go.
Thank you, Dennis. We'll continue to take your thoughts on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Derrick Henry's status for the remainder of the season in question as the Titans move forward here. We'll get to more of that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The kick from Bullock is good, and the Tennessee Titans win a wild one.
The Titans eke out a statement victory on the road against the Colts in overtime.
It's a grind. There's guys that are banged up, beat up, but they find a way.
We're reacting all day.
If they can't run the ball, then that's where you increase the opportunity for your pass rush to matter.
On Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Gary Ashton here. Most people in Nashville know me as the don't sell without the intel and the guaranteed offer guy. But despite my accent, I'm also 100% guaranteed Nashville. I'm a guaranteed musician, a guaranteed dog lover, and you're also guaranteed to see me at every Titans and Preds game. Guaranteed offer means the Gary Ashton team with RE/MAX Advantage will sell your house for top dollar with no cleaning, staging, showings, or open houses, and give you up to 90 days to close. So there's plenty of time to find your next home. Guaranteed Nashville means my team lives here and loves it here. We've served Nashville for over 20 years, and we're passionate about helping the people we call neighbors and friends, which is why we've had a long-standing tradition of donating to the Vanderbilt Children's Hospital. If you're thinking about a guaranteed offer, get the only one that's guaranteed Nashville. Request a no-obligation offer by calling 615-301-1650 or go to GaryAshton.com today. Remember, Gary Ashton, guaranteed Nashville.
Life isn't always nice and tidy. With the largest network of dentists in the nation and affordable plans, Delta Dental of Tennessee can help make sure your smile is the cleanest thing you own. Learn more at deltadentaltn.com.
Hey, it's Jared from my official sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. The final game of NFL Week 8 is tonight, and FanDuel Sportsbook wants you to get the most out of every play. That's why they're giving everybody a $10 risk-free bet every week. All you have to do is bet a same-game parlay with 3 legs or more, and if your bet doesn't win, FanDuel will pay you back up to $10. Chiefs and Giants, you know the Chiefs are going to have to be mad, and the Giants aren't very good. So I'd load up on the overs with Kansas City because, again, Mahomes is going to be on fire. There's no feeling like nailing a same-game parlay parlay bet, and when you win, you'll get your winnings in as little as 2 hours, according to FanDuel. If you're new to the FanDuel Sportsbook app, sign up with the promo code JGM to also receive a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's promo code JGM so they know that I sent you. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. Max refund $10. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Same game parlay available for multiple sports in all states on mobile and web. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
Mark Howard here to tell you about my friends at Apple Collision Centers. We all know being in a collision is not fun. Neither is all the stress that comes with it. And that's where Apple Collision comes in. Let them take care of everything for you. That's insurance, repair, and your rental details. They've got 3 convenient locations in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Their managers, Tommy Rippey, Daniel Neville, and Chris Brooks and Marty Denson, combined for over 75 years experience. So stop in today and tell them Mark sent you. Online at applecollisioncenters.com.
Hello? Hello, Mrs. Kuntz. It's the back left tire of your RV calling. Wanted to give you a heads up that I'm going to blow out on the highway later today.
Wait, what?
Says here I'm going to burst in the middle of rush hour.
Well, can we reschedule?
Sorry, our policy states that once we're scheduled to burst, we have to. We really pride ourselves on our commitment to blowouts.
RV owners can't schedule when things go wrong on the road. That's why there's Progressive, a leader in RV insurance.
Do you want a text confirmation when I burst?
Think I'll notice.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Hey Nashville, Vanderbilt football coach Clark Lee here, inviting you to tune in on ESPN 94.9 every Monday at 6 p.m. for the Commodore Hour, providing you with exclusive insights on Vanderbilt athletics.
Hey Nashville, it's Mike Greenberg, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
And he has not yet taken the MRI, but it is clear, just judging from the reaction of the team and from those close to Derrick Henry, that it is not good. And from what I understand, as they still try to figure out these specifics, and the MRI is important to determine just what sort of structural damage in there, but the immediate concern is that there is a fracture in his foot. That is the concern right now. It is not sure. They do not have the full extent of the injury. If that is the case, we'd figure it would be probably 8 to 10 weeks, so an outside chance that Derrick Henry could return real late in the season if the Titans make a run. Either way, for an MVP candidate and one of the best running backs in the NFL, not good news, and obviously a hugely important day looms ahead for Henry.
That was Ian Rappaport on just a few minutes ago with Good Morning Football on the NFL Network, discussing Derrick Henry and the MRI coming up. Adam Schefter reporting potentially a season-ending injury for Derrick Henry. Jay Glazer reporting a break in the 5th metatarsal. So obviously Titans fans waiting with bated breath today to see what happens with Derrick Henry and whether or not his season could be over. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Brought to you by Volunteer State Bank. Real people, real solutions right here. Remember, FDIC, equal housing lender. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you, reacting to the Derrick Henry news. And, Joe, one thing that I was going to bring up with you today, was going to do it after the Corey Curtis segment took place, and then the breaking news happened, and we've been kind of on the go since then. But I do want to get your thoughts. One thing that we'd be talking about right now that could be an option for the Titans would be their 3rd-round pick from 2 years ago, Darrynton Evans, who is currently not an option. So you're talking about 2 years now where Darrynton Evans has been largely useless to this Titans team due to injury. He gets put back on IR on Friday. Mike Vrabel was actually asked about Darrynton Evans by Kayla Anderson on Friday, and did not seem to be overly impressed. Basically said not enough twice, with a very glaring look on his face when asked what Darrynton Evans has been doing in order to work his way back from injury and what he's seen from him. So Darrynton Evans is not an option. It would sure be nice to have your 3rd-round pick available from a couple of years ago for this situation, and the Titans, unfortunately, do not have that luxury with Darrynton Evans.
Right. Well, I think we found out later that day, right? That answer was because Vrabel knew he was going on IR and wouldn't actually come out and say it. So he answered the way he did. And yeah, it's I don't know if Darrynton Evans would be a high volume carry guy. You know, he was drafted to be an explosive complement and a really like a 3rd down back plus, you know, who can also take a series here and there, but he'd be nice to have right now, no doubt about it. And that's just another one of these picks in the last couple of drafts that just is not working out. Some for health reasons, some for other reasons. you go hamstring and now knee, and then comes back and had a couple touches in that one game, and then he's hopping off the field and he hurt it again. So that's a big zero right now, where it could help you had you pick someone who can stay on the field and be healthy. So they're gonna have to do something. Heidi on the text line said trade Julio for a back. So you do that.
Just kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah, that's what she said. Yeah. So I don't think that'll happen. Look, I mean, if the Titans are going to be good moving forward, he has to be part of that. There's no question.
Yeah.
And AJ Brown, the way he's playing, Julio Jones, if he plays like he has in bursts, at least they'd be a very dangerous passing team. You still, though, it just changes the entire makeup of everything. I mean, even just the way you approach games operationally, like how you look at games, is so much about, we have a guy that they have to spend all their time talking about how they're going to stop him, and that's going to make them weaker here, and here. And now that's just gone. It's a lot of work here for Todd Downing too. Regardless of who they get, they're not going to get someone who comes close to what he does for a team. So you have to change some things from the jump here.
Well, not only does it change the way you approach things as an offense, but, I mean, it completely changes the picture of how opposing defenses defend you, right? I mean, you're not going to see a whole lot of 8 and 9-man boxes at this point with Derrick Henry not in there, and that's going to put more strain on A.J. Brown, and that's why it's so important to get Julio Jones back in there, because if you're going to have to throw it more, which, make no mistake about it, they will have to throw it more if Derrick Henry's not going to be a part of things, you need your best weapons out there. So a really, really tough blow for the Titans if that's the case. Let's go back to the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Ben texting in, even if the timetable is shortened, Henry can't do his normal routine, so he wouldn't be the same until next season. Might as well let him heal. This coming from Ben on the text line.
Yeah, as I said, so I mean, he could have his foot wrapped and he could still do chin-ups on a truck or something. I mean, I'm sure he's not going to sit around, eating muffins, I'm sure.
He only needs his upper body to bench press those 18 wheelers he's out there bench pressing every day.
Yeah. I mean, in all seriousness, you could, with an injury like this, you can do a lot of all that you do in terms of your workouts. You can't pound the feet. You can do swimming stuff or whatever. I mean, so yeah, I don't know that that wouldn't be to me a reason to shelve him or anything. The reason is just that if there's any worry at all that bringing him back is too early, or that you could have longer term implications. We haven't talked much at all about how much this sucks for Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
It sucks for the Titans. It sucks for Titans fans, for the NFL, for sports fans. But, think about that guy. All he's done is just given this team everything, taking more punishment than I think anybody in the league this year.
Yeah.
219 carries is a busy season for a running back. Did in 8 games, and is carving out a gold jacket for himself, on chasing history, bucking all the narratives about running backs and injuries and shelf life. And one thing like this and everything changes.
Let's go back to the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Coy in Clarksville texting in. Here's the real question. Can we depend on Ryan Tannehill to win games by himself? I just don't know. This coming from Coy.
Against the Texans, against the Jaguars, against the Dolphins.
Yeah, I feel good about those.
Yeah, I mean, Tannehill's good, and Tannehill, will I think he'll respond. But you have to have some kind of balance. You have to have balance. I mean, the Titans can't go all of a sudden to, okay, this is going to be a tempo, throw the ball 55 times a game offense. You got to have some kind of balance. So they can't be by himself. Against any kind of decent team, you have to have someone in the backfield who can keep defenses somewhat honest, can take advantage of a light box and give you, some kind of a ground game. I think that there are some guys out there, potential trade targets who could do that.
Let's go back to the text line. Our buddy Gover texting in. That loss to the Jets looms a little larger than it did yesterday. If you're the Titans, you'd love to have one more win's worth of cushion now. That's coming from Gover.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, I will say, though, like, I think it still is very unlikely that the Titans don't win the AFC South. I know that's like all kinds of negative crammed into one sentence, but like they're going to beat like the Texans and Jags, even as is, I believe. Those, the two of those games at home, end of the year, Houston playing out the string with that awful football team. Titans, I think, are going to get into the tournament. So to me, the Jets game, like, that's where, if you're really going after the one, which we can just forget that now altogether, there's where that one might end up biting you. But I don't see the Colts doing enough against their schedule to be better than 9-8. That would be a heck of a chore by them. And the Titans have to go 3-6 to be 9-8 and win the division because they swept the Colts.
Let's go back to the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Titan Ben texting in. The Titans will finish 13-4. So, Derek, you just rest up. Don't worry about it. Titans are finishing 13-4. We'll see you in the playoffs, hopefully.
Okay.
You don't seem to have the same faith that Titan Ben has.
Hey, listen, I said they were going to get smoked in this 3-game stretch. They're 3-0, so what do I know? But Jimmy Morris, real quick, on Twitter, sending a tweet. He's listening to the show. We're talking about the potential of the timetable. According to, and I don't know who Computer Cowboy is, but he does have a blue check mark.
There you go.
Says 42 Jones fractures were identified during the 2010 through 2015 NFL seasons. 15 of those 42 returned to the field in 10 weeks or less, with 9 requiring a second surgery. 27 of them needed more than 10 weeks. So
that's not good news.
It's less than 50%. Were less than 10 weeks. Now, is Derrick Henry the type of guy who might be, on the less than 50, on the good side of that?
Maybe
it
so.
Seems that way. But again, I just, with foot bone and bone stuff,
especially at that position,
I don't know. Right. And when what you have to do with your feet at that position. Yeah, I don't know. But thank you, Jimmy, for the info. It's interesting.
We'll continue the conversation on Derrick Henry and the Titans when we come back. Take your thoughts on our text line as well, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. We've also got some tickets to give away coming up next. We'll do that ahead. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025, The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Looking at a cooler day today, high temperature heading up to 63 degrees. Under mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies. Much cooler times, though, will be moving in midweek.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Saturday means college football, so put on your game face, then grab an ice-cold Dos Equis. Dos Equis tastes light, finishes clean, and will never let you down. Like a friend that defected to your rival team. Pick up a pack wherever you buy beer, and not nearly enough snacks. Dos Equis, a proud sponsor of college football. Get a dose. Enjoy Dos Equis responsibly. Copyright 2021. Imported by Cervezas Mexicanas, White Plains, New York.
Let me tell you, the most expensive mistake a homebuyer can make is not shopping for the best mortgage. Hey, I'm Roger Moore, founder and CEO of Loan Pronto. It's a fact. Homebuyers who choose Loan Pronto save an average of $3,500. That is a ton of money for furniture or moving expenses. How do we do it? First, we don't charge our clients thousands in junk lender fees and closing costs, and our all-digital platform streamlines the process so you close faster and easier. Realtors love working with us, and we will work with your existing realtor, but don't make a decision about the loan until you call us. Listen, not all mortgages are created equal, and it pays to get a second opinion. Even if you've already started the process, we promise to beat your current offer, or we will pay you $1,000 for your time. So check us out at loanpronto.com or call us today at 615-499-5780. Lower rates, lower costs, and a stress-free experience. Again, loanpronto.com or call us at 615-499-5780.
Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval. Not all loans apply.
Are you tired of living with chronic pain, knee pain, joint pain? Listen carefully, because now there are new treatments available here. Not talking surgery or steroids. These are regenerative treatments from the medical professionals at QC Kinetics. Willie Donick here. QC Kinetics is the leader in these exciting biologic therapies that help restore and repair damaged tissue in your joints with lasting results. So if you've got pain in your knees, shoulders, hip, or back, joint pain that won't go away, you need to check out these new treatments with astonishing patient satisfaction reports. They can actually help your body restore and repair itself with no downtime, no drugs, and no surgery. So call now to schedule your free consultation at QC Kinetics. 615-249-4024. Tired of dealing with joint pain and want to get moving again? You need to learn more about how biologic therapies are changing the way we think about dealing with joint pain. It's exciting stuff, so don't wait. Call today. QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024.
Jared Stillman.
It's kind of a big deal around here. Kind of a big deal in these parts.
And company.
It's not just the trust, it's the way he gets open and it's the routes that he runs.
Tune in Stillman and Company for your drive home. Delivered by TriStar Moving. Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Did not look like himself. He was on the sideline working through something early.
Yeah, and we'll see where he's at and evaluate. And he's excited for his football team, for our football team. He'll tell you that, I'm sure, if you're given the opportunity to talk to him. But again, there's a lot of us that have to get some recovery and some rest.
That was Titans head coach Mike Vrabel discussing Derrick Henry after the game yesterday, and didn't really seem like much at the time there. And that conversation has changed so far today with Derrick Henry and the Titans. If you've missed it, some news coming from Adam Schefter a little bit earlier, fearing that maybe Derrick Henry potentially lost for the season due to a lower body injury that he suffered yesterday against the Colts. Some reports have come out since then saying that it is a foot injury. Jay Glazer saying the fifth metatarsal affected. So waiting for an MRI. We'll see what happens on that front, but depending on the severity of the injury, could be a season-ending injury for Derrick Henry. We'll have to wait and see what happens on that front. We've got some tickets to give away to see Nashville SC take on New York at Nissan Stadium coming up this Sunday. Be caller number 3, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Caller number 3 will win a pair of tickets to see Nashville SC take on New York at Nissan Stadium this Sunday. So make sure you hit up those phone lines right now, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Joe Rexrode, let's go to the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and get the people's reaction. T from Clarksville texting in. The concern is the O-line. Derrick Henry makes up for the minimal push we've been getting up front. Another running back can't do that. How does the game plan change knowing that going forward? This coming from T in Clarksville. I don't know that there's been a minimal push in the running game from the offensive line.
Well, look, this is where it's hard to evaluate the offensive line. You think they have a minimal push? They got 9 guys in their face all the time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing is a lot of times you don't have enough hats to deal with the hats that are crashing downhill to stop 22. I think the Titans have good run blockers. I think Taylor Lewan, Roger Saffold, Nate Davis. I mean, I think that they have good run blockers. They're probably going to see fewer hats in the box moving forward. So, it's the cat and mouse of this game. It really is just like you got 11 on 11, and the defense now has to devote more resources over here. I think you're going to see defenses do a lot of doubling A.J. Brown, and that's why you need Julio Jones, because now defense is the number one guy in the scouting report is A.J. Brown now. So take him out, you beat that team. That's why you need number 2 out there as well, and somebody to run the ball. I've seen some interesting ideas. Rashad Penny's one of those out there. Tevin Coleman I've seen thrown around. What about Cordero Patterson?
Yeah.
I love watching him run the ball. I'm talking about a power runner.
Let's call up Arthur.
As a receiver by trade. He's becoming like a power runner. You got to go get somebody. I mean, you have to. You have to try to go get somebody. I'm going back and forth with people about the Colts. You know, Mike Herndon saying like number one would be Marlon Mack. I agree. I can't imagine that.
Well, why would the Colts do that? Like, are you going to help out the Titans? Like that just doesn't make sense. Unless you're the Titans, like you're offering a first-round pick or something. But
yeah, like to me, it's you only even consider it if you've given up. Like if you've given up on this year, you're the Colts. It's like, hey, get something for what we can get, and this is the best offer. Okay, but with this happening to the Titans, don't you feel like maybe there's a chance now?
I would think so.
I mean, you got to try. I would think. You got to be like, okay, they could lose a bunch of games coming up. Let's get on a run and give it a shot.
I don't know. Maybe they saw those picks yesterday from Carson Wentz and just said, you know what, now it ain't happening. We'll trade him Marlon Mack. Maybe Jonathan Taylor.
There you go. How about both of them? You have a heck of
just get
a
both
backfield.
of them. Kyle texting in, would it be worth trading Julio Jones for a package deal that includes a running back and a tight end? What do you think of that, Joe Rexrode?
I mean, who for what back?
You gave up a second-round pick to get Julio Jones. You're not trading him and getting anywhere close to what you traded for him back, so it's not going to happen.
Right. Like, you've put yourself in a spot where, and hey, more than ever, you need it, where you need him to be vintage Julio Jones on the outside, a dominant Hall of Fame receiver who's healthy and can play every week. And if you do that, if you get that, I think you got some wins ahead of you, and maybe you can still beat some good teams. There's no back out there you package over a trade that would come back that would make it make sense. To me, I can't think of anybody.
Lots of people on the text line wanting Dearness Johnson from the Cleveland Browns, who obviously has had to fill in without Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt available for the Browns.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going back. Like, these people are like, this is over. The Titans. Okay, Ryan Witherspoon said they're going to be favored every game but the Rams. Do you think the Titans are going to be favored without Derrick Henry going to New England and going to Pittsburgh?
Probably not. I mean, there's still some easy games left on the schedule. I mean, the Texans are god-awful. They are terrible. The Jaguars are not much better. So this idea that the Titans season is just done and they're not going to make the playoffs, I don't buy into that. But if Derrick Henry's out the whole year, I mean, this team, the question has not been whether or not the Titans can make the playoffs. We've not really talked about that one time this year. I think we all have agreed the Titans can make the playoffs and that they should make the playoffs. And after yesterday, the conversation this morning was they've pretty much wrapped up the AFC South. I still believe the AFC South is very much on the table for them, and they're probably going to win the AFC South. The question has been, are the Titans a legitimate Super Bowl contender? Up until about 2 hours ago, my answer was yes. If Derrick Henry is out and there's no chance of him coming back, I mean, the answer pretty quickly changes to no. I mean, that's how big of a difference that he makes for this group.
I mean, when you talk about what we were talking about for the first half of the show, basically a team that is potentially capable of making a Super Bowl run, I don't see that happening realistically unless 22 somehow is back in the equation this year.
We'll have to wait and see what happens. Mike Vrabel addressing the media today at 12 o'clock, so all eyes going to be on that press conference coming up later with Mike Vrabel. We'll have you covered all day long here on ESPN 102.5 The Game with all things Derrick Henry and the Tennessee Titans. Joe and I will be back 6 a.m. tomorrow. Hope everybody has a wonderful rest of their day. Darren Donica Chase is up next. You're listening to ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The voice of reason.
No, you blew it. That's what happened. It didn't slip away. You